It is only week number 2, but there's a bowl-type atmosphere here at Notre Dame as over 80,000 fans are jam-packed this historic stadium in South Bend, Indiana. Hi, everybody. Craig Minervini with Pat Hayden. Great to have you with us here at Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish come off a huge win last week against number 25 Texas A&M, but indeed the ante is raised big time this week against number 1 Nebraska in a matchup that links college football all the way back two of the all-time greats. Certainly, Pat, it's a hot ticket here today, and the Irish are looking for a hot hand in their backfield.
Yeah, they're really looking for a spark from Julius Jones today, the sophomore tailback who will get his very first start. Big stage for Julius, but he's really played well in his year and a half here at South Bend. Now, Bob Davies said we need some home runs out of him today. That's why they're getting the start. He's the most dynamic player. They need a couple of big runs out of Julius.
When you look at the Cornhuskers, the prototypical Nebraska player is probably the offensive lineman.
You know, we always talk about quarterbacks and wide receivers. We should be talking a lot about offensive linemen today, and Nebraska offensive linemen. They deserve to be talked about. These guys are stars. 505 yards rushing last week, yard lost in the rushing game. At the end of the game, maybe the quarterback gets the MVP, but the offensive line really set it up.
Yeah, they are the cogs, but the key to the machine is certainly the quarterback, Eric Crouch. We may have to slow-mo him today to keep him in focus because this guy can flat-out fly.
Yeah, simply put, he is a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. Not his first trip to Notre Dame. He came here as a junior in high school in their summer camp, was the fastest player in that camp. He's probably also their toughest and most competitive player, and Notre Dame does not want to see him carry the ball on the edge of the defense.
The Fighting Irish are getting set to take the field. It's the 151st consecutive sellout here at Notre Dame Stadium. The fans ready for what should be an exciting matchup, a good chance for the Irish to try and keep that mystique alive against the Cornhuskers. The crowd is a bevy of not only Notre Dame fans here, Pat, but also Nebraska fans as well. A lot of red in the crowd.
I have never seen so much opposing color at Notre Dame Stadium in 25 years.
There is some green here, too, but some of the fans will be arguing back and forth, rooting for their team as the Irish get psyched. The opening kickoff is coming up in just a moment. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. Back at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana, number 1 Cornhuskers and the number 23 Fighting Irish. And let's go down to the sidelines with our Bob Wischusen and the head coach of the Fighting Irish.
All right, Craig, thanks very much. Coach, you said all week the key to stopping Notre Dame, stopping Eric Crouch. How do you do it?
You mean the key to stopping
Nebraska, excuse me.
Is to stop Eric Crouch. There's no question about that, and that's easier said than done. But you know what? We've had a chance to practice against an option-style offense. We certainly know what's coming. Our kids just have to go out and execute and play. I told our team, we don't have to be the best team in the country today. All we have to do is be the best team in this stadium today, and I think we're going to give great effort. I'm excited about this challenge.
How about Arnaz Battle last week, now moving forward to this week, a different kind of opponent?
Last week's over. It's all about one game at a time here at Notre Dame. I talked to him before the game. He's confident. He feels good. So let's put the ball down. Let's go see what happens.
All right, Coach, good luck. Thank you very much. Craig, back up to you.
Thank you, Bob. The weather for this afternoon here at Notre Dame, 80 degrees, a lot more comfortable than a week ago. It is still humid, 67%, a little bit of a wind, mostly cloudy over the stadium. And the fans here, it is shocking as you look at the players getting ready because Notre Dame might feel a little bit like they're in a road game, a very unusual thing to say right here at the home stadium. Nebraska had only 4,000 tickets allotted, but obviously they picked up a few
Some
more.
Notre Dame fans sold their tickets, I'll tell you right now. It's incredible. More red than green.
Gives you a real bowl-type atmosphere in that respect as well. Notre Dame will receive the kickoff. Dan Haydenfeld will do the kicking for Nebraska, making his 2000 debut today. He's a sixth-year senior. And here we go. David Gibbons on a return for Notre Dame. Gets a hold to the 20, breaking wide to the 30, and he's knocked down and to the 40-yard line as the Irish get off to a good start on special teams.
Well, Bob Davie said to us yesterday, meaning we have a chance on a kickoff return. It should be a good play for us today. Tony Driver, number 25, leading the way. Really got a key block on number 16, Sweeney, to allow number 6, David Gibbons, to get the outside. And again, special teams can really set you up in great field position, and they can win a ball game for you, particularly when you're playing against an opponent like Nebraska.
So a big return. They'll start at the 41-yard line. The junior Arnez Battle in his second career start. The stakes are raised this afternoon. On the fake, eluding over the middle, and it's nearly picked off, incomplete. Jabari Holloway was the intended receiver.
Well, you sense it's going to be a different kind of offensive game for the Irish, a little bit more open than it was a week ago. But Des Moines Adams, number 98, did a great job of staying home. They have 2 outside ends, does Nebraska, that do a great job of containment. Their job, Adams and Vanderbush on the other side, is just force everything inside and hit every blue jersey that comes anywhere near you.
A conservative approach last week from Kevin Rogers. Interesting, he's coming out passing right away. This time they give Julius Jones for a couple. They'll set up a third and about 7. The Notre Dame offense for head coach Bob Davie. The offensive line, the one rookie, the center, Jeff Fain. Other guys, juniors and seniors. The backs and receivers, Arnez Battle leads the way. Jones getting the start. Lipinski, good solid fullback. Deathrow Hunter, good speed. Touchdown for Hunter a week ago. Holloway, one of the quad captains, the tight end. 3rd and 7. Nebraska looking to hold here. Battle nearly picked off by Keo Craver. And a break for the Irish, because had he picked it off, he might have gone for 6.
Nebraska is going to play man for man all day long against these Notre Dame receivers. And I don't think you want to be running hook routes. In man for man defense, you want to be running crossing routes, running away from the corners. And that's an easy play for Craver. The ball was thrown late, almost a touchdown for Nebraska.
Joey Hilbold, sophomore punter, had a good week last week.
And Nebraska blocks a lot of kicks. 10 last year. They blocked 2 field goal attempts. A lot of guys up here in the line.
Bobby Newcomb is back deep. Former quarterback who can also move. He will take it at the 15, up to the 20. Newcomb cannot avoid Chris Yura and makes the tackle on special teams. So far, at least on special teams, the Irish off to a good start. Nebraska's starting offense, led by their outstanding center. You're going to look at Dominic Raiola.
Yeah, he is a good
junior out of Hawaii. And it's a tough front line. Pat, you talked about it.
Yeah, he's the best offensive line in America.
Both Fernati, Raiola, Hochstein, and Schwab. The backs receivers, Crouch leads the way. Willie Miller, good blocking back for Dan Alexander. 200-yard game last week. Newcomb, Davison, Wistrom, an outstanding tight end who averages 28 yards a catch.
Wow.
From the 24. Crouch going deep. First play. He's got his man. Bobby Newcomb, the wingback, for a big gain of 36 in the first play.
How about this, Craig? Both teams, which are power teams, their first plays are pass plays. A beautiful fake. It was that 2 tight end formation, which they like to throw out of. And Bobby Newcomb, the quarterback from a year ago, does a great job of adjusting. First, a great release. You know, making Brock Williams miss at the line of scrimmage was a key to that release. And then a real good adjustment to the ball. Terrific reception.
So Newcomb, who was battling Crouch, was the starter last year at quarterback for a couple of games. Makes the big play from Crouch. Alexander finds a hole, left tackle, and a good one for Nebraska. Another good pickup. Brock Williams on the stop of big Dan Alexander, the senior out of Missouri. Frank Solich also handles the offensive coordinator signals. We look for the Irish defense. Weaver, Wisney, Legree, and Irons up front. The junior is Weaver. The others are seniors. Boyman, Harrison, Denman. Denman's the leader at linebacker. Williams, Walton, Driver, and Israel. Walton getting his second start at the corner. And up the middle again, it's Alexander.
Craig, this offensive system really has been in place for, 30 years at Nebraska, and it combines, raw power, which you just kind of saw there, with some finesse in the option game, and then they kind of sprinkle in some passes. And in the passing game, they usually come up with 3 or 4 big passes a game. We've already seen one to Bobby Newcomb.
3-yard gain. It's 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line for Nebraska. This offense, you're right, Pat, they are like a machine. Last week scoring in 5 of their first 7. On the option, rolling, throwing for the tight end Wistrom. He was defended well on the play that time by Brock Williams and Tony Driver as they faked the dive up front, and he was rolling wide.
Well, Eric Crouch a year ago was 52% thrower, but he is most dangerous when he's running the ball. I mean, this guy is a flat-out sprinter, 10.400 meters in high school. And I think the other thing, he is just tough. I mean, he takes some shots, bounces right up, and run off from 20 yards the next play.
Hey, you have to if you're an option quarterback. Wait to the last moment. This time he gives to Alexander, and B.J. Scott snuffed it out. The nose guard for Notre Dame, the senior from Brookville, Indiana.
Yeah, last week, Nebraska didn't have one negative play. That offensive line was that good. But that time, great penetration by B.J. Scott. Those are the kind of plays they need. It looks like Grant Irons, number 44 down, a starting defensive end for the Irish.
Grant had a problem last week. He was dehydrated with the heat reaching over 115 degrees on the field. He left in the third quarter.
They're going to need, Notre Dame is going to need a lot of defensive linemen today.
So we'll tell you about Grant Irons when we come back in a moment. We're scoreless early on from Notre Dame. A Notre Dame game is a weekend of activity. The Leprechaun at the pep rally last night, they had to move it to this stadium because they had so many fans.
Now here's a down Nebraska doesn't see often. 3rd and 13.
At the 31. Fake again, untroubled. Crouch gets away. Here's where he's troubled, but he's packed up. The Notre Dame defense again doing the job, and it was Anthony Denman, the outstanding linebacker.
Yeah, Tario Harrison gets to him first, but again, this is a very uncomfortable down for Nebraska. 3rd and 13. Didn't see it all last week, saw it rarely a year ago. Notre Dame decides to come with the blitz. Harrison, the linebacker, beats his man like a running back, put a little move on him, and then Denman finishes him off.
Lost 7 yards, 2 Pat, so no thought of a long field goal here.
There's another thing you don't see often, a punt from Nebraska.
Dan Hayden felt. Will boom it and try and he tried to catch it there too, but he really did boom it.
You can't punt that one in the end zone. They gave too much yardage to Notre Dame.
They didn't pick up many yards at all in the exchange, only about 16 yards. So Notre Dame will go on offense from the 20. Fans go in depth on the Fighting Irish by logging on to MSNBCSports.com. Click on NBC's Notre Dame Central, which features player profiles, game highlights, audio interviews with Coach Bob Davie, and expert, of course, analysis from Pat Hayden. MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports.
Good opening defensive series for the Irish.
It was not a good offensive series on the first possession for Notre Dame. Option, battle will keep. They'll get about 3 yards in the play. Greg Adams made the tackle.
Greg, if you have to play the #1 team in the nation, which Nebraska is and deserves it, this is a good time if you're Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You're playing them at home. You've just come off a big win against Texas A&M, and you're playing them early.
We talked to that man, Bob Davie, about that yesterday, and he echoed those thoughts. If you have to play him, of course.
Yeah, I prefer not to.
They'll play him next week next year at Lincoln to open up the season. 2nd and 6. They gave him 4 from the 24. Inside handoff. Jones, left tackle, finds a little room. He gets first down yardage. He was stopped on the play by Deion Booker. Good run by Julius Jones, a guy who can make something happen, sophomore out of Virginia.
The thing that Irish like about Julius Jones is that although he's got the capability of breaking off 40 and 50-yard runs, he's not afraid to take it inside. Good offensive line surge, 52 of Fain. Jim Jones, the left guard, number 55. Ballers there, but again, a patient run by Julius Jones. He doesn't try to make every run 40 yards, but he's capable of doing it.
This is more Notre Dame football, too. The run, they set up the pass. They're trying to keep the Huskers honest. Battle circling. He can run. Flips over the middle, nearly picked off again. He was going after Dan O'Leary. Carlos Polk nearly got it. That's almost 3.
Yeah, 3. You're right. I mean, last week, Arnaz Battle didn't have anything nearly intercepted. He's almost had 3 balls intercepted in this first quarter. And number 13 right here, he's the Carlos Polk, the inside linebacker. I mean, this guy is an active guy. He's 260 pounds, but boy, can he move around. Plays very close to the line of scrimmage. Blitzes a lot, but that time in pass coverage.
Talked to Carlos this week. He said, I don't like that movie, Rudy, at all. That was not very...
Not many Cornhuskers did.
No, they did not rent that at their local store this week. 2nd and 10. Let's see who jumped. Flags all over the place.
I think what Bob Davie needs to do right now is kind of settle Arnaz Battle down in this passing game in particular and feed the ball to Julius Jones some, maybe run a screen, a draw, something like that. But right now he's throwing the ball a little wild, and there's been pretty good coverage by Nebraska.
Defense. Refs talking it over. Might be a difference of opinion.
It is a Big 12 crowd. Home officials.
It is dead ball legal procedure against the Irish. They'll be backed up 5 yards. Looks like it was Kurt Vollers.
Yeah, Kurt Vollers down in the right tackle position. Moved kind of early. That was easy.
Des Moines Adams was rushing in. One of the lighter guys up front, number 98. The left rush end for the Cornhuskers. As you notice, they angle in. We'll talk about that, Pat. The unique defense of Nebraska. Everything is unconventional about these guys. 2nd and 15. Battle passing. Over the middle. Tipped again, and this time it is picked off. Joe Walker's got it. Walker will go down at the 35.
Well, Notre Dame felt they could not be as conservative as they were last week against A&M. But if they're going to throw it, they've got to throw it to some guys in the blue jerseys. I mean, great coverage by Nebraska. And mind you, it's mostly man-for-man defense. Joe Walker, he's their rover. They call strong safeties most places. But good rush inside. Barr, number 90. And then Polk, number 13, gets his hand on it. And Polk right there, he was the guy that really caused the interception, blocked an extra point last week. So Carlos Polk has had a very good first quarter.
So 1st and 10, 35-yard line. Crouch pitching out. Good tackle made in the play by Shane Walton.
Flag down.
Flags are down in the play. You know, Pat, Coach Bob Davie, how many times do we hear no self-inflicted wounds, holding on Nebraska, that'll help the Irish cause. And here, nearly got picked off a couple of times. First series get picked off after making some good defensive stops.
Yeah, and I think, as we said, trying to get your quarterback settled down, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Get your running game going, you get your running game going, or you get a couple of screens in there to settle them down a little bit. Get them on the opposite. Again, uncharacteristic kind of down and distances thus far for Nebraska's offense. We saw the 3rd and 13 a while ago. It's 1st and 19 or 19 now.
From the 44. Nebraska coming off a 49-13 win over San Jose State. Again, they did not play well defensively. Option Crouch. This time pitching. But Halter getting outside. Picked up about 5 yards in the play. Brock Williams and Terrio Harrison, linebacker, made the stop.
Both teams are playing a lot better defense than offense early in this ballgame. I mean, he's kind of sent to some good, solid coverage, some good, solid hits. And your quarterback in the option's always going to take some hits. Low pitch, a team that had 25 fumbles a year ago, many of those on option plays. But good defensive play once again by Notre Dame. Again, 2nd and 14. Nebraska's used to being in 2nd and 4.
Grant Irons, by the way, back in for Notre Dame after leaving the field.
Right up there.
Yep. 2nd and 13, 38-yard line. Crouch going for the bomb, way over Davison's head, who was cutting inside. Shane Walton was on the coverage on that good split end. Number 3, Matt Davison.
A little bit surprised with that great offensive line. Nebraska hasn't been mashing a little bit more. Yeah, there was the penalty that got them back in 1st and 19, but that is what they do exceedingly well. Frank Solich, the offensive coordinator, as well as the head coach, with a great offensive line.
Really, Pat, both teams sort of going away from their normal personalities. You expected that a little more from the Irish. They feel like they have to force the issue. 3rd and 13.
And Nebraska likes to screen it here.
Crouch way back to pass. Sets up the screen. Got Buckhalter to the 30. They stopped him short of first down yardage. Tony Driver, good stop. The free safety who comes off a career game of 10 tackles last week. And an interception, his career high.
And Notre Dame's defense has made a statement, I think, in these first couple of drives, Craig. Hey, you're not coming in here to their stadium and getting blown out. I mean, you know, Nebraska can overwhelm you early in a ball game. And I think even if Nebraska goes on and wins this ball game, I think Notre Dame's defense has made a very early statement.
So it's 4th and 4. And they're going to go for it instead of trying what would be about a 47-yard field goal.
Well, you got to think Eric Crouch is going to carry this ball.
Josh Brown was 1 for 4 between the 40 and 49 a year ago. Doesn't have a good leg in terms of the distance. And Notre Dame has taken a timeout on this big 4th and 4 early in the first quarter. Notre Dame and Nebraska scoreless. Back in a moment. Back in Notre Dame, big 4th and 4. The Huskers are going to go for it, Pat.
Yeah, 4th and 4. They have a 2 tight end set in, and Bob Davies very concerned about passing in this 2 tight end set. The other thing they like is they get it to Bobby Newcomb on quick screens.
Galladay near side tight end. Wistrom the far side tight end. 4th and 4. Remember the speed of Crouch. Straight up the middle. Nope, Crouch is hanging on. Crouch has got it, and Notre Dame can't get him. Right near the line, it's going to be close.
I think he's short. I think he's about a yard short. It was the old naked bootleg for Eric Crouch. You see how tough he is. With great speed, broke 1 tackle, but he's a yard short.
Yep. Boy, it looked like they had him about the 35, Pat. He squeaked free, but not enough, and the Notre Dame defense with a huge stop.
You fake the ball up inside, and a good head fake there by Crouch. Again, the defensive end stays at home. That's Weaver. And then Anthony Dedman gets a pretty good shot at him. And then Tony Driver, once again, who started off having a pretty good game here. Here's the first guy up here. That's Weaver, number 98. Crouch, then Dedman. There's 2 tackles missed. 2 tough tackles. And then Driver, number 25, finishes him off.
Now the pressure back on the Notre Dame offense at their 26. It's 1st and 10. Battle on the give. Tony Fisher is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Arnaz off to a tough start. 0 for 4 with an interception. Scott Shanley made the tackle.
Yeah, and again, Scott Shanley is one of those walk-ons from Nebraska you hear so much about. And small town, St. Edward, Nebraska, 800 players, or 800 people. Dreamed about playing at Nebraska since the 2nd grade. It's his first year as a starter.
2nd and 11, 25. Arnaz keeping. He's squeaky too. He's tough to bring down, but Theo Craver finally got him. Gain of a couple, be a 3rd and 8. Arnaz battle. What an emotional story for him on his shoulder, his left shoulder. He's got a picture of his brother who died at the age of 3. His brother Brandon drowned in his grandmother's pool in November back in 1989. He said he used to carry around wallet photos of young Brandon but would lose them. And he had a tattoo put on his shoulder in memory of his brother, a person he thinks about every day. He said Brandon would be a freshman in high school today and probably would have been a better player. What a way to remember your young brother. Pass to Gibbons. A good one from Battle. His first completion. It's a first down as David Gibbons makes the grab. 8-yard pickup on a big 3rd down play.
David Gibbons is used in a lot of different ways here for the Irish. That time just got a short little motion, didn't come across all the way the field, knew exactly where the first down marker was. He's a little bit like a linebacker. He's got that kind of size, 6'3", 217 pounds. They use him as a running back some, good on special teams, and could be probably a tailback at most schools.
Gibbons had the 21-yard touchdown, a 21-yard catch rather last week, helping out the Irish cause in the comeback win against A&M. Battle on the option again. He's going to keep.
stopped up around the 40-yard line by a host of Nebraska defenders. It was Randy Stella getting the credit for the tackle.
Well, this is, well, Craig Bowl, the defensive coordinator, calls it kind of a, unusual, unconventional kind of defense. Guys coming off the corners, incredibly fast. I mean, they got some strength. Look at that, the fullback getting kind of hammered right there. But it's really hard to get in any kind of running momentum or against this Nebraska team because they penetrate so much. You need a couple of big plays.
2nd and 8 from the 40-yard line. Single setback. It's Fisher. He's got it at the 40. Up near the 45. Joe Walker knocked him out of bounds. Gain of 5 yards.
Yeah, that's a pretty good play by Joe Walker. Strong safety for Nebraska. I mean, that thing looked like it was going to go for a good first down easily, but this guy had an unbelievable year in 1998, kind of a highlight year, and 3 interceptions. 1 went for a touchdown, had a 99-yard kickoff return, a 73-yard punt return. Just an unbelievable year.
Last week again, they were 0 for the first 7 on 3rd down. 1 for 2 today. It's 3rd and 3 at the 45-yard line. Split backs, Lipinski and Fisher. Ball's going to pass. Lobbing one nicely for Fisher. Diving. It's just beyond him. Pretty good coverage in the play by Randy Stella, the linebacker, who pulled out with Tony Fisher. Incomplete, and Notre Dame will have to punt.
Notre Dame calls this their wheel route. And last year, Tony Fisher had a big year as a receiver. 18 catches, a couple of long catches for touchdowns out of this. Just wasn't thrown out and far enough to the sideline because he had the man actually beaten.
One of those he'd probably like to have back, Pat.
Oh, absolutely. I think he said he complained that the ball slipped out of his hands. Now, Hillbowl, the punter, cannot or should not punt this ball in the end zone.
Joe Walker is back deep. Walker is senior. Hillbowl will get it about the 30-yard line. They just get the snap off. It's a boomer. Walker's going to let it go and hope to take a Husker bounce, but it doesn't. It's an Irish bounce. And the mystique alive for at least a play here for Notre Dame, a 50-yard punt.
It looked like he was playing with a balata the way that thing backed up.
All right, it'll be first attempt at Huskers when we come back scoreless at Notre Dame. One of America's most enduring corporate images, the Goodyear blimp is floating overhead, providing our aerial views for today's game. The Spirit of Goodyear, one of 7 airships in the Goodyear blimp fleet. Goodyear now has 3 blimps in the United States, 2 in Europe, 1 in South America, and 1 in Australia. One of the key early stats, Eric Crouch, 2 rushes for -3 yards. This is the 4th all-time leading rusher at Nebraska as a quarterback, and he'll probably be the leader perhaps by the end of this year in that department.
16 rushing touchdowns a year ago. Notre Dame has played well defensively in the first 2 series.
Crouch the handoff. It's Alexander. Only a yard or 2 is, again, one of the early stories here, Pat. The Notre Dame defense is not getting caught up in any #1 hype today.
Ordinarily, Nebraska's offensive line is so quick off the ball, these guys, and they just kind of, get on you so quickly. There's usually huge running lanes. But if you can get to Alexander early in the run, he doesn't have a lot of make you miss. They're only averaging 1.8 yards per rush.
Last week they averaged over 8 yards, and Alexander had a 208-yard day. Alexander again, just a couple over right tackle, and again Anthony Denman. We talked about him being the leader on the defense for Notre Dame, makes the stop. Then they'll bring up a 3rd down, probably about 6 for the Huskers.
The Nebraska generally is so effective by giving you that fullback or that power play inside, and then they fake that fullback and get Crouch on the perimeter, and then all the big plays come on the perimeter of college football. But what Notre Dame has done is really taken that inside away.
Davison will flank out wide to the left. The tight end on right side of the line is Aaron Galladay on 3rd and 6. Slotted back. Crouch looking Davison's way. Deflected at the line. It's incomplete.
It was Grant Irons, I think, who got his hand on it. Yeah, he's hurt. Grant Irons might have hurt his, it looks like he hurt his shoulder a little bit. But I'll tell you, another 3 series, 3 good defensive series by Greg Madison's team. Really a good play by Grant Irons. Had people at his feet. It was going to be a quick out. Fought off the block down by his legs. Gets his hands up and tips the ball. That's how you get interceptions, too. Good play by Irons.
His brother Jerry lettered at Nebraska back in '91. Not sure how Jerry's take on the game is here today, being a former Husker. Julius Jones will get it at the 50-yard line. Got some room down the sideline. 40, knocked down at the 35-yard line by DeJuan Gross. And good field position for Notre Dame. They'll take over on the 35, 41-yard punt for the 14-yard return. Let's go down to bottom of the sidelines.
Guys, this may look like just any old practice jersey to you if you don't know Nebraska football, but if you do know Nebraska football, you know what this is. It's a black shirt. This is the practice jersey given in ceremonies to all the starters for the Nebraska defense. It's so ceremonial and so traditional now that the coaches have a behind closed doors meeting where these are handed out to the Nebraska starters on defense, including a videotape presentation of different Nebraska players talking about how special it was when they got their black shirt for the very first time. Well, right now, the black shirts for the Nebraska Cornhuskers have to come up big.
What a
Javen Hunter made the catch from Ornez Battle as the black shirts couldn't come up with a play that time. It's a big gainer of 24 for Notre Dame. Battle to Hunter. Battle's warming up.
Second week in a row, Javen Hunter has become a power forward. The pump fake, but Sweeney was not fooled. Great adjustment by Hunter. It looks like it's a penalty. It's going to come back, but nonetheless, great adjustment and catch by Javen Hunter. Holding against the Irish.
As the Irish were celebrating, no one saw the flag standing at around the 37-yard line, and a tough break for Notre Dame on the Irish.
Maybe Jordan Black up here, number 78. He's got him on the face mask.
Yep.
The old Heimlich maneuver on Kyle Vanderbosch. Easy call. But, you have to take some shots against the corners. As good as they are for Nebraska, it's man for man, bump and run all over the field. Man for man all the way around here. You got to take a couple of shots.
Got to feel good for Battle, even though they lost the 10 to make the completion. He's gaining confidence, and here he goes again. Battle to the 40, shake and bake 35. Randy Stella knocked him down. Battle is just getting a lot more comfortable running the offense. Big difference from the first series and the second series.
It's a long game. There's going to be a lot of negative kind of plays, but he's going to have to make ones like this. And when you're trying to settle your quarterback, a good runner like Ornez Battle, give him a chance to run the quarterback option. It's really a quarterback draw is what it is. Good call on that down. It puts him in 2nd and 10.
Well, Bob Davie told us the big question he has. He loves his quarterback. Knows he's a young quarterback. How does he overcome a mistake? That's the issue. And so far, trying to overcome that early interception. The defense did the job. No points on the board for Nebraska. Way back, trying to find Terrence Howard there in a screen that didn't really develop for Notre Dame.
But that's the play Notre Dame planned for a long time. A screen trying to match up their back against Carlos Polk, number 13, the middle linebacker for Nebraska. I think Polk surprises people. You watch him, walking around, you see he's a big, thick-legged guy, 260 pounds. So he can't run. Well, he sure can run. I mean, he covered that screen perfectly. He tipped, he caused the interception a moment ago. And this guy is a good player.
They are going 5 wide here on 3rd and 11 of the 36.
And there is some confusion.
Trips to the left, twins to the right for Notre Dame. Battle. Well, he faked the throw, gets away. Well, they're going to say
there was movement. There was movement before the snap. Good call. There was movement before the snap. I think.
Where's the flag?
Over there on the far side.
Fire the snap.
Oh, okay.
False start offense. Replay the down. 5-yard penalty. Penalty occurred before the snap.
Tough break for the Irish, as that play may have had first down written all over it.
No, it was the right call. I think it was Jordan Black moved early, the left tackle. It was an easy call for the line judge.
Set up 3rd and 16.
You look up here, number 78 again, moving early. Whoopsie daisy. Yeah,
Yep.
those guys, Vanderbush, you got him over you. You're anxious about his pass rush.
6'4", 260, and he can move too. So 3rd and 16 from the 41. Battle spinning. Stella trying to run him down. Lofting, wide open receiver, Getherall, but he actually was right on the line, and it is incomplete. He would have been out of bounds anyway.
Well, what incredible speed by Nebraska's defense, though. Randy Stella, you saw him chasing Ornez Battle, number 34. He should be on somebody's track team. They call him an outside linebacker, was a high school running back, and he is unbelievable. He used to return kicks for Nebraska, even though he's playing linebacker.
He's close to breaking Gale Sayers' record long jump. Back in school. So on 4th and 16 here at the 40, Joey Hillbone will let go of his 3rd punt of the game. Joe Walker again back deep at about the 9. Hillbone. Walker was calling for the fair catch. The ball bounces to around the 17. Nebraska will take over right there.
Good punt again. Good punt.
So the Huskers will go back on the O with 2:28 to go. It's 0-0 in Notre Dame. Back at Notre Dame, let's go down to the sidelines again, and Bob Wischusen.
All right, Craig, injury update on Grant Irons. The same shoulder that he injured earlier on the game has been re-sprained on that deflected ball play. They've taken him back into the locker room to put a brace on that shoulder. He told the doctors he desperately wants to get back into this football game, and they're going to see if that brace will help him do just that. Right now, though, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish defense out there without Grant Irons.
In the meantime, junior Ryan Roberts will take over. Thank you, Bob. At the right tackle spot.
This is a series, I think, I'll be surprised if Nebraska's offensive line really doesn't take some pride in this series and make something happen. Again, they've had 3 series, and the defensive front of Notre Dame has won those first three series.
They tend to will on you, and Bob
Absolutely.
Davey was talking about how they impose their will on you as the game moves along, but so far the will has been coming from the Irish on Nebraska with just 62 total yards. Here's some yardage. Buckhalter taking it up near the 25.
And you see how quick Russ Hochstein, number 55, was, the right guard. I mean, he's pulling, leading the way. Hochstein, number 55, from Hardington, Nebraska, right here. Now he's going to get out in front. He's looking for a linebacker. Any blue shirt he sees. Got a piece of Ron Israel. But the thing about these offensive line, they are big and powerful, but they are very light on their feet.
Buckhalter's 3 for 15. He's got Judd Davies, the fullback, who will take the handoff and rumble over the 30, over the 35. Judd Davies, the fullback freshman, with good yardage and a first down for Nebraska. 13-yard gain.
Yeah, they give the ball to the fullback once every lunar eclipse. You know, they didn't carry it a lot in Nebraska, but when they do, it's pretty meaningful. You know, you pitch the ball, you run the ball outside, then you kind of feed the ball to the fullback. Good cut by Judd Davies, really known as more of a lead blocker. Frank Solich said when he came into our campus, he knew what his role as a fullback was, and that was to block.
Isn't it a constant setup when you go against this Nebraska offense? They just send you one way, and you never quite know. It's a little bit of illusion. Crouch will keep. Crouch, you can see him motor. Look at him go. 50. Crouch breaking free. Crouch to the 20. Walton tries to catch him. He won't be able to do it. No flag, 62-yard touchdown for Eric Crouch. The flag after the play on the celebration. That'll tack on and make it a long extra point. Most likely we'll have to wait.
Well, it must be a big game for Nebraska because they score so many touchdowns. They ordinarily don't get too excited. So it must feel like it's a big game.
Could be against Notre Dame as well.
Personal foul.
Personal foul.
Yeah.
Half the distance.
Now that'll be on the kickoff, I believe. And that's a bad penalty. It allows you to go for an onside kick if you want. You're going to pick up 15 yards on the kickoff.
Josh Brown will kick the extra point. He had 6 of them last week.
Kickers are always active at Nebraska. You notice that?
Just comes with the territory when you put on the big red. It's good. A career-long touchdown for that man, Eric Crouch.
You know, Eric Crouch is going to get a lot of pats on the back for this run, and it was indeed a good one. But Russ Hochstein, number 55, really cleared the way for him. Fake the option. Remember, they just ran the fullback the play before? They fake it to the fullback this time, and then you use first the power, well, actually the finesse of Crouch, then the power, then the speed. So Crouch gives you 3 different elements. 10 to 400-meter sprinter. And that's the foul. It's a stupid foul on Shane Walton. It'll cost him 15. This is where I think, hey, you go for an onside kick. You probably won't. You're playing on the road. You scored, but I think you think about it.
Notre Dame is playing such a disciplined game so far. That's exactly the kind of penalty that is just an absolute killer. Especially when the offense is going to be challenged to go down the field 80 yards to begin with.
You know, Crouch can really get you frustrated because you feel like you're doing a good job defensively. You know, you're stuffing the running back, you're stuffing the fullback for the most part. Next thing you know, he's going 62 yards against you. You know, he can be methodical and then he can be a bullet.
So much for 2 carries, Pat, and minus 3 yards.
What's his average now? It's much improved.
Now he's up there. 4th all-time. 25 rushing touchdowns for Nebraska. He's just 8 shy of the all-time career mark for quarterbacks.
Now remember Notre Dame had a pretty good return on the opening kickoff, and Bob Davie felt this would be a good play for him.
Dan Hayden-Felder did the punting, will do the kickoff chores as well. Gibbons is going to take it from a couple deep. Up to the 10. Wide to about the 18-yard line. John Gibson made the stop for Nebraska, and Notre Dame will take over with a long way to go. For more Fighting Irish sports information, log on to UND.com, where you'll find highlights and audio clips of Notre Dame football's coaches and players. Plus, each week, UND.com offers fans a chance to submit questions to a featured Notre Dame player. UND.com, the official athletic site of the University of Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame needs one of those home run kind of runs out of Julius Jones that Bob Davie talked to us about yesterday. He says he's capable of doing it. We need some of this game.
Gibbons in motion. Lipinski, the fullback, in front of Jones, who has the ball. Across the 20, 22-yard line.
Tony Fisher.
John Clanton, nose tackle, backup, made the stop.
Watching on that was Julius Jones.
Incredible speed on this defense. You know, they have a real tough nose guard at Jason Lohr, number 70. He kind of locks down the middle. Carlos Polk doesn't let much happen down the middle. But everybody, other than that, boy, they are just, there's a track team.
2nd and 6. Jones, there's a bit of a spurt for Julius Jones. Close to first down yardage, got up to about the 28, a yard shy.
Finley, number 19, really stopped what was going to be a pretty big run. Clint Finley, number 19. Plays some rover, plays some free safety for Nebraska. Was a starter a year ago and out with a concussion late in October. This guy must be a great athlete. He was a high school quarterback in Texas, recruited by all the big schools in Texas, A&M and University of Texas, to play quarterback. Wanted to come to Nebraska, and it's been a free and strong safety for them, a very good one.
Yeah, he's a versatile guy. Watched Mike Brown, the outstanding. How many times do we hear about Mike Brown, the rover from last year who moved on? One thing about Nebraska, as you look, it's about a foot or so here in a big 3rd down. They've lost 6 starters on defense, and if there's one spot Notre Dame felt like they had a shot, it was to try and exploit some of the younger players for Nebraska's defense. They lost Steve Warren, Big 12 defensive tackle. Aaron Wills, the starting rush end. A couple of the All-Americans we mentioned in the Browns in the backfield. Irish are going to let the quarter run out. Perhaps they'll see if they snap it before.
They're going to let it run out. They should.
Battle's looking over. And indeed, the quarter does run out. Notre Dame knew Nebraska was going to score a few. Let's see if they get their offense going when we come back for the 2nd quarter. It is Nebraska, thanks to Eric Crouch, leading Notre Dame 7-0. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. Craig Minervini back with Pat Hayden, Bob Wischusen, and our NBC crew at Notre Dame Stadium. Getting started for the 2nd quarter. Pat, you knew Nebraska, at some point, they're going to score some points. Bob Davie told us that. I think he'd be happy giving up just 7 for 1 quarter if you get your offense going a little bit, because they're going to have to score, obviously, if Notre Dame wants to stay this game.
I think if Notre Dame's going to win, they have to do 2 things. You know, one, get Arnaz Battle on the perimeter, but they have to cause some fumbles on defense, some turnovers.
And up the first middle, Lipinski gets 3 yards. But overall, Nebraska offense had some trouble against the Notre Dame defense in the first quarter.
But one play by Crouch. That's why he's a Heisman Trophy candidate, and that's why he's playing quarterback. You know, a year ago he played some wide receiver. They moved him to quarterback. They finished 12-1.
That was after winning a couple of games with Newcomb starting at quarterback, but they saw the skill of Crouch all along. So did Bob Davie. Julius Jones getting some yardage across the 35.
A lot of white jerseys around the ball carrier. You notice that? It's like ants on a sugar cube. I mean, whoop.
Scott Shanley was the big ant right there, the sophomore out of Nebraska.
Watch Mike Gandy, number 69. He's going to come around, and then 3 white jerseys kind of engulf 69 and the ball carrier. And again, good team defense. Craig Pohl, the new defensive coordinator there, played for Nebraska in the late 70s and succeeded Charlie McBride after 18 years.
They have 11 starters from the state of Nebraska. It's amazing when you look at their roster how many there. 2nd and 6. Not much happening for Lipinski up the middle.
I think it's one of the beauties of the Nebraska program, Craig, is the kids just don't go out of state. I mean, the football players stay in state. And when you have 10 in-state players starting for Nebraska, the high school football must be pretty good in Nebraska, too. Crouch is from Nebraska, Omaha.
And Pat, we talked with the players this week. Growing up in the state of Nebraska, where you follow the team on radio, the guys were saying when they were growing up, it's such an honor to wear that N that it's very hard to think of going anywhere else if you're that good.
For Nebraska, you think you got to watch out for Arnaz Battle on the quarterback draw here.
3rd and 6. Battle trying to break outside. Got good speed. Gets to the 40. First down. Battle near the 50-yard line, and this time there are no flags, which has been hampering Notre Dame. 3 penalties so far. 14-yard gain.
It wasn't a quarterback draw. It was supposed to be a pass, but Arnaz Battle felt some real quick early pressure, found a little crease, and like a running back, like a tailback really, found a little crease in that defense. You can see some guys coming in here early. It steps up in, then avoids, dips his shoulder. Tackle, sees exactly where the first down marker is. That's the key thing. Having the presence and the awareness of what you need to pick up a first down. That's what Arnaz Battle did there.
Arnaz contemplated going to Notre Dame, but he grew up watching people like the Rocket, Jerome Bettis, and he loved the tradition and the academic part of Notre Dame. That's why he came here. Jones on the inside handoff. Tries for the home run. He'll take the single, and a flag thrown might have been on the hit on Jones right as he went down near first down yardage.
It's a nice run, but I think Bob Davie was hoping for more. He said you're going to get 3 or 4 chances for a home run against this Nebraska defense in the running game. We've got to hit them.
Here's the foul. 15-yard face mask. Defense.
Face mask against Nebraska. That'll tack on 5 more yards to the play.
Easy call. It was on Deion Booker, the free safety, number 14.
First and 10. Big play for the Fighting Irish. This time the penalty going against Nebraska and hurting the Cornhuskers. At the 25, the junior from Shreveport, Louisiana. Handoff. Jones breaks one tackle. Gets a couple of yards. Initially hit by Vandenbosch for Nebraska.
Now here's a guy who's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Kyle Vandenbosch. Right. A guy who came to a camp, a summer football camp here at Notre Dame, wanted to really be offered an early scholarship to come to Notre Dame. They didn't give him one, and we talked to him earlier this week. He still remains bitter about that. He had a chip on his shoulder.
Looks like a professional wrestler with his goatee and shaven head.
He's a pretty good student. 3.8 in finance.
He's got brains and brawn. 2nd and 9 from the 24.
Oh, nice fake.
Battle, keeping to the 20. Nebraska didn't pick it up at the 10. Down to the 6-yard line. K.U. Craver made the stop on a terrific fake 18-yard gain for Arnaz Battle.
It's a terrific call by Kevin Rogers. Haven't seen this yet for the Irish this year. It was a similar kind of play that Crouch ran. Tried to run for a first down. Little inside fake. Jay Johnston, number 11, downfield, doing a good job of stalking Craver, number 3. But good call, great execution, a misdirection play. Again, when you're playing against such a quick defense as Nebraska is, misdirection will work.
Well, the passing hasn't been impressive for the coaches. For the 2 for 5 for Crouch, 1 for 8 for Battle, but both of those guys doing a terrific job. We're looking at, looks like Mike Gandy. He's the right tackle, a senior out of Garland, Texas, slow to get up here.
He's played very, very well last week. Gandy, number 69, the right guard. Yeah. Here's the terrific inside fake. Remember, you just had Julius Jones with a big run. Everybody bites on that good seal block on the outside. Good block downfield by Johnson, the wide receiver. Gives you a first. 69 is there. Looks like he just planted on his right foot, came down awkwardly, but just jogged off the field, so it looks like he'll be able to come back in the ballgame. Mike Gandy is their best offensive lineman. Had a terrific game last week against Texas A&M.
Sean Mahan, the junior, will back him up, left guard number 79. Most of the rushing yards from the quarterbacks, 59 from Crouch, 52 for Battle. First and goal from the 5. The give to Jones, up the middle for maybe a yard or 2.
Stella, I think, just drilled him, number 34, Randy Stella. You talk to this guy about being a track guy, and again, built on speed, this defense, and boy, they are fast. Just an inside, kind of a good disciplined run again. Julius Jones didn't try to break it outside, make it a long run. But Randy Stella, he can cover up a lot of mistakes by a defense with his outstanding speed.
The smaller Jones is out, full house backfield. Howard, who goes 6'1", and Fisher are in.
Somebody moved.
Somebody moved. We have a flag, and it looked like, again, the Irish again costing themselves, Pat.
Because Terrence Howard, you're right, Greg. Terrence Howard was wide open in the end zone. He was the guy who went in motion, and he was going to be wide open for a touch.
Now, wait a minute. If there was the encroachment and the Nebraska lineman hit the offensive lineman, we'll see.
Offside for Nebraska.
But even so, it's on Nebraska. Notre Dame missed an opportunity for a touchdown. It really did.
The penalties are the other way, too.
Yeah, here he is, the guy in motion. That's Terrence Howard. Watch how open he is going to be in the flat. The trailer is just too far behind him. Now he stops because of the penalty later on. But early on, he just had such a lead on him on an angle. Would have been an easy score.
A power I formation. Now Jason Murray sliding to the right.
That's a penalty there, isn't it? Yeah, Nebraska was off.
Handoff. Touchdown! There is a flag down, but obviously it's going to be on Nebraska's. Tony Fisher moves in for Notre Dame. It is declined, of course. Touchdown for Notre Dame. Tony Fisher, and the Irish are a point away from tying this game up.
Yeah, but be careful of Nebraska on the extra points. They blocked 2 of them last week. But nice response by Arnaz Battle of the Irish offense. Crouch tries to knock you out. They keep coming, battling back in an attempt to tie the score. Good drive. Nice drive.
John Crowther will snap it. Adam Tibble will put it down for the sophomore Nick Setta, who took over the starting job in the fall camp. He's got it. The Fighting Irish have tied the game up. A classy looking drive, all rushes, capped off. 82-yard drive capped off by Fisher. And Notre Dame is tied up the Huskers. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, since 1925, millions have watched the Goodyear Glimpse hovering over special events. Today, it's the spirit of Goodyear carrying on that proud tradition. Goodyear Associates Worldwide extend a blimp-sized welcome to all college football fans.
Any college player looks up and sees the blimp. You know it's a big game.
It's a big one.
You got number 1. You're at Notre Dame. Coaches know it. Fans know it. Players know it.
Bob Davie, it is the 26th head football coach at Notre Dame. In his 4th year here, 6 games over 500. He has to be impressed with that drive, Mr. Hayden.
Yeah, a good response. Remember the drive before, Eric Crouch went 62 yards, but a more methodical drive by the Irish. But indeed, Bob Davie, you told him yesterday it was going to be 7-7, middle of the second quarter. I think he'd be very pleased.
And he's got to like the way that things have worked out, where the Notre Dame defense has at least put a little doubt in Nebraska's mind. Nebraska knows they can hit the big home run, too, as they did with the incredible Eric Crouch. Matt McNew, great soccer player here. On the kick, he can boom him. This one, though, will go out of bounds and give Nebraska excellent field position to start their drive. Well, next Saturday at 1 Eastern on NBC, the tough schedule continues for the Fighting Irish. They'll take on interstate rival Purdue, the 14th ranked team in the country. That's Notre Dame and Purdue next Saturday that night here at 1 Eastern on NBC.
From one Heisman Trophy winner to another.
Yes.
Drew Brees next week, Eric Crouch today. You know,
Boilermakers hosting the
candidate, Heisman Trophy candidate, right?
They're hosting the Golden Flashes of Kent State this afternoon in West Lafayette.
The Golden Flashes?
The Golden Flashes. Not one of your favorite clubs, huh?
No, I like that. I like that nickname. Well, Eric Crouch, again, last time we saw him, he was 62 yards for a touch.
He's got Miller and Alexander, I formation. Davison is the wideout moving to the left. Crouch will hang on. Man, is he quick. Over the 40, good pickup for Crouch again, near first down yardage.
You know, he's a quarterback because he calls the plays, but he's really the running back, or a running back, because he's so quick and he's so strong. And a lot of times, after he fakes the fullback, he'll just duck in right behind him. They call it the design quarterback duck play or a quarterback ISO sometimes, and he's got some power. He's got a couple of extra yards there. Nebraska records for Eric Crouch. Set the sophomore season total yardage record, over 2,000 yards. Look what he did in that one game. In one quarter. Scored 3 different ways.
Yep, caught one, threw one, ran one. Handoff, first down, Miller, the fullback. Denman on the stop. That was last year in the second game of the season. In the second quarter, in fact, Pat, it was within 8 minutes. He ran one, he caught one, and he threw one for a Nebraska record. And how about what Davey was talking about? He had him in camp here.
That's right.
As a senior.
Yeah, well, I guess junior summer, I guess it was in the football camp. He said, hey, he was clearly the fastest guy we had here in our camp. They had these races with all the guys who come to the camp, and he outran everybody. Ran irons again.
Well, his tough day continues. 1st and 10. Ball on the Nebraska side of the 49. Crouch giving near side. It's Newcomb. He's a threat as well. Gets across the 50. They want to get Bobby Newcomb the ball more often this year. Tario Harrison made the stop. A gain of 6 for Nebraska.
Again, power, option fullback, and then a little finesse. A little finesse, a little reverse to Bobby Newcomb. You still think about Johnny Rodgers running those kinds of plays, don't you? I mean, I think that's one of the beauties of Nebraska. It's the same plays, the same offense for 25, 30 years. Frank Solich, the head coach, played at Nebraska. 5 of his assistants did.
You think of Rodgers, especially in this matchup. Last time they played, Rodgers was a big man. Miller with picking up 6.
Willie Miller's the guy who just got married at Nebraska last summer, right? When kind of ate everything on his honeymoon.
Went on a cruise.
Yeah, went on a cruise and had 6-7 meals a day. And
you know, he said you pay for it, you got to eat it. The thing was, when he got back, Patty was 15 pounds heavier as Grant Irons makes his way out. The coaches looked at him in June and said, whoa, time to stop the fun, Frank Solich said, and get back to your weight. And he went down from 260 to where he is about now, 245. Married Kimberly Cowell. 1st and 10 at the 40. Couple of yard pickup for Dan Alexander. Harrison and Sapp making the stop.
Frank Solich, head coach of Nebraska. He's mentioned he played in the 60s for the University of Nebraska.
Now, he's not a big fella. Only 160 pounds, and look at this. He was actually on the cover of Sports Illustrated back in 1965. This came off it was the preview edition, but he had a 200-yard day for Nebraska running.
He was the very first 200-yard rusher for Nebraska, and that was the college football preview edition for Sports Illustrated. That's a big deal.
He's the 48th all-time leading rusher in his career. He averaged over 5 yards a carry, but that certainly was the highlight day. He got almost 20% of his yards in the one day. On the option, Crouch gave to Alexander. He was nailed on the play. Both Alexander and Crouch took a hit. Nebraska picking up a couple of yards.
You know, Greg, I think one of the incredible things about Frank Solich and this whole Nebraska staff is the continuity in their coaching staffs. 132 years of experience at Nebraska. We're talking about at Nebraska now. And that's where we say it is a system. It's been going on now for 30 years. And everybody who comes, who grows up in Nebraska, they probably know the play calls when they're in 3rd or 4th grade.
3rd down and 6. Nebraska 0 for 3 on 3rd down in this game. Crouch rolling to the left. Has the option, will throw over the middle. A little floater, but it's caught by Davison. It's a first down. Shane Walton made the stop, and there's the danger of the option. You have to respect the run so much. Davison left open for the catch.
You know, it was interesting talking to Matt Davison this week when we were in Lincoln, and he was saying, you know, playing wide receiver Nebraska isn't necessarily the most glamorous position, but you're going to get your opportunities. He said, it's really, for me, it's kind of like geometry, a game of angles. And my separation from the defensive back, which he did right there from Shane Walton, that's the key. I've got to get myself in position to be able to separate from that corner, called a geometry.
Matt says he's not the fastest or most athletic, but he needs to use the head games to help out. Crouch on the keeper, rolling across the 20-yard line. Tony Driver made the stop. Pick up 6 yards. He'll set up 2nd down and 4 to go.
Tony Driver with a big interception last week against A&M at the end of the game. Had a couple of interceptions a couple of years ago when Drew Brees came into the stadium at the end of the ball game. Came as a real talented running back to Notre Dame, but he's played defensive back this year and really a solid tackler.
How about this lineup? You got 590 pounds of fullback leading Dan Alexander. And Alexander getting to the 15 with Davies and Miller in front of him. Two 245-pound fullbacks. That's a first down. Driver and Sapp making the stop. How'd you like to stop those two guys? You got to fend off 2 big fullbacks in the power I.
Yeah, and those 300-pound offensive linemen. Now, this is looking more and more like Nebraska football. I mean, kind of pounding it inside. You know, maybe you throw the ball a little hook to Davison once in a while, but get those big old offensive linemen. Raiola, number 54, a very athletic and unique center. We've talked about Hochstein, Schwab, Fanatu, and Volk.
Newcomb and Davison are wide left. The Twins are to the left I formation. Crouch on the option. He'll keep. Now pitches last moment. Fumble. Crouch going after it.
Well, they have 49 fumbles a year ago. The one blemish on a 12-1 record. They lost 25 of those. Many of those, as we said earlier, came on the pitch.
Last second pitch here by Crouch.
Yeah, 55 again. Hochstein does a great job of sealing off the inside. A ball that looked like it could have been handled.
Crouch again scampered on it before Rocky Boyman could get to it. The 6'4" junior redhead out of Cincinnati.
Is he wound tightly, Rocky Boyman?
Yes, he is.
The Boyman said to us yesterday, his dad is more nervous than he is about him playing.
That's a big fan, been watching from Cincinnati for years. Timeout Nebraska on this 2nd and 10 from the 15. So Eric Crouch trying to find the end zone for the 2nd time in a 7-7 game from Notre Dame Stadium. Craig Minervini with Pat Hayden back at Notre Dame Stadium. It's 7-7. 4:42 to go here in the 2nd quarter. Just got word that Grant Irons, this is a tough loss, Pat. The right end, the senior, dislocated shoulder. The doctors say he will be out for the rest of the game. Those Husker fans put a little more butter on their corn after hearing that news.
Corn on the cob, that's corn on the head.
2nd and 10.
This is a much more characteristic drive of Nebraska. They won 62 yards in the last one.
Miller in front of Alexander. Crouch, pitch option. He'll keep to the 10. Look at the vision he has to look and fool you to the right, goes to the left, inside the 5-yard line. Anthony Denman made the stop. Nice game by Crouch.
Just think how frustrating it is for Anthony Denman, number 39 for the Irish. He's a quick outside linebacker for the Irish, but he was trailing Crouch almost this whole play. See right there behind him? Never makes up any ground, really.
Crouch 7 for 85 yards rushing and a touchdown.
And remember, Craig, he scored 16 touchdowns rushing last year. So I think if you're the defensive team for the Irish now, you think, hey, first things first, let's stop Crouch. He likes to keep the ball inside the 10.
He's had just 16 career starts. Crouch will keep. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, Harrison helping the middle linebacker, 51. Denman as well in the tackle.
Yeah, Denman got a full piece of Eric Crouch that time. Good scouting. You know, Notre Dame started preparing for this game last February. The first time they started looking at the 12 tapes of Nebraska. And Bob Davies said to us yesterday, Nebraska forces you to prepare early. They started in February, and they knew when Crouch gets down here, he likes to keep it.
There's early, and then there's almost a lifetime. I mean, we're talking February.
That's right.
Man, 2nd and goal from the 4 for a 3.5-hour football game, right?
13th play of this drive.
Crouch on the option again. Boyman tried to pull him down, but he held him up enough for the tackle. It was Anthony Weaver who made the stop, but Boyman was the key man.
Absolutely. Number 30, Rocky Boyman. And Rocky is his given name. That's not a nickname. And if you're a defensive lineman or linebacker at Notre Dame, you'd love to have the name Rocky. Just kind of played off his block, stretched it out, got a first piece of him, and then Anthony Weaver delivered the final blow.
And on 3rd and goal from the 5, Nebraska will call the timeout. They're just 1 for 4 on 3rd down so far this afternoon. 7-7 from Notre Dame Stadium. Back at Notre Dame, 7-7. Key drive going here, Pat. 7.5-minute drive for Nebraska.
13 plays, 12 of them have been runs. And again, this is where Crouch is most dangerous, but Notre Dame has done a good job thus far on this drive down here with him.
Miller, the fullback, gets the handoff.
Oh boy, great change of place.
Right near the goal line.
I think if you have an offensive line, I think it's going to be a little bit short. But I think if you have an offensive line like Nebraska, 4th down, even though you're on the road, I think you go for it.
Let's see where the placement is, too. As you look at the fullback, which is a bit of a surprise we talked about earlier, getting the ball.
I love the call. Great change of pace. They are going for it. There's a 2 tight end formation in. Here go Aaron Galladay comes in at 285 pounds of tight end, but I think Frank Solich believes his offensive line can get that much yardage.
They are 2 feet shy. Crouch, keeper, touchdown.
The plane of the end zone starts at the beginning, the very beginning, the white paint. So you don't have to actually go all the way across. As soon as you hit the beginning of that white paint, you've crossed the plane for the touchdown. I like the quick count here by Crouch. It didn't give Notre Dame a lot of time.
Wow, that was...
Yeah, he got there in a little late surge, absolutely. He got clearly across the white line, and the first surge, he kind of got knocked back. Yeah, that's a terrific drive. 14 plays, 13 runs.
Josh Brown on the extra point. Eric Crouch on the keeper. And again, that great guile and gutsy effort to get it across. A long drive capped off, and the Huskers are back up by 7 again. Back in South Bend, the Huskers' long drive now leading 14-7 with 2:24 to go in the half. And near the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. And the Husker fans and the Notre Dame fans enjoying what has become so far a very entertaining matchup.
The thing about Nebraska, and I've been watching them for a long, long time over the years, you have to beat them. They don't take days off. Bob Davie was talking about the same thing. I mean, you have to be able to manufacture a win somehow or other.
They don't have a bad day when they run the ball as much.
No.
Unless you put Crisco on that ball, that's about it. Julius Jones will take it at the 5.
Oh, got some
room. 20. Breaking wide. 30-yard line Jones. 40-yard line Jones. And he's near midfield. And there's a bit of a home run. Give him a triple for that one to the 50-yard line.
Absolutely. 4 or 5 opportunities. A 45-yard return by Julius Jones. You're going to see a really big lane open up here on the left. And right there, the guy on the outside for Nebraska just went a little bit too wide. Now, you think with all the touchdowns Nebraska scores and the practice they have on the coverage team, you wouldn't have let teams have 2 big returns, but Notre Dame has had to.
1st and goal right at midfield.
2:11 left in the half.
DeJuan Gross had a shot at him, too.
Yeah.
Option to Fisher at the 50. Near the 45, he was pushed out by Scott Shanley, the sophomore linebacker. Coming up on the Sun America Halftime Report, Bruce Beck will be in our New York studio with college football scores and highlights. Jimmy Roberts, an update on the Olympic torch relay from Sydney, Australia. That is coming up at the half.
Now, Arnest Battle has to know the situation in the game, Craig. I mean, his team is down by 7 points, 2 minutes remaining in the half. He has 2 timeouts. Yeah, you're trying to get in the score, but you do not want to turn this ball over.
Battle in the shotgun. Thinking about running, a nice spin move. He's going to take off. If he can get around the defenders, Joe Walker came up beautifully from his rover spot with the initial hit on Battle, and he lost a yard.
Well, there have been 27 plays in this quarter by both teams. 26 of them have been runs. And Joe Walker, the rover for Nebraska, is a guy that should make a lot of tackles. They funnel a lot of ball carriers to him.
3rd and 6. 3 for 6, third down so far. Got a screen out there. Oh, he threw it a little high for Fisher. And Tony could not reel it in, and there was all kinds of real estate open for the junior from Euclid, and that's another one they'll shake their heads on and wish they had back.
Looked a little awkward, didn't it? I mean, Arnez Battle just didn't have his feet underneath him, just looked a little bit strange.
Right there for him.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't have been a difficult play for him. So very quick, because they didn't use much clock there. They leave a minute and a half for these powerful Huskers. And Joey Hildenbold is on the field. Joe Walker back to receive. Booming punt. This one is going to carry way too far into the end zone, and that means no more. Well, the clock's at 1:24. They're going to take over at the 20. Plenty of time for Nebraska. Tomorrow at 3 Eastern on NBC, it's the Subaru Gorge Games. Tuning in some amazing athletes take it to the limit in some of the most adventurous outdoor sports, including extreme kayaking, mountain biking, and one of Pat's favorites, kiteboarding, which he enjoys on the West Coast. Just to name a few of the Subaru Gorge Games tomorrow at 3 Eastern on NBC. You're not a kiteboarding guy?
I think anybody who plays special teams should play in the Gorge Games.
That's it.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing, you know? And listen, we've seen that Nebraska score quickly, and we've seen them have a methodical score. 1:24 remaining here in the half. They have one timeout.
Crouch giving safety to Alexander, and the big back piles up to about the 25. Tony Driver again in on the stop.
One thing about Nebraska's offensive line, and we've talked a lot about them today, is how quickly they get off the ball. When the ball is snapped, I mean, it's like a chorus line. I mean, they're powerful, they're quick. You got the nice guts going there, and you need that when you're offensive lineman. You got to push those guys away, but there are some really powerful guys. As a matter of fact, number 77, Finoti there, they think is the most powerful offensive lineman they've ever had.
Are you surprised they're taking their time? 2nd and 6, the ball deep. I guess they want to play it conservatively. As Crouch can get loose, stop. They're going to just use the clock.
Yeah, I think conservative. On the road, you're up by 7 points. Absolutely. Your defense is playing well. Take a 7-point lead inside.
Show some respect, too, for the opposition.
Well, I don't think anybody in Nebraska, some of the press people thought this was going to be a blowout, but talking to the coaches at Nebraska and the players, I didn't think they felt it was going to be a blowout.
3rd and 2. I would think Bob Davies got to feel pretty good about the first half for the Fighting Irish. Nebraska certainly earned their last touchdown in that long 14-play drive, but they needed a 4th and goal to do it. Crouch back. He's going to throw it out with the clock running down, final moments, and he throws it out of bounds, and that will do it for the first half of play. And he's thinking, what the heck, let me try one and see if we can fool him with Davison going wrong. So Eric Crouch with a couple of touchdowns, 89 yards rushing in the first half. The story for Nebraska. The Irish hanging in. Battle leading a drive. Let's go down to Bob Wischusen with the head coach of the Huskers.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Coach, how big was that touchdown drive just before halftime here?
Well, we needed that, of course, to get ahead again. We've had some good drives. The last 2 drives have been good, primarily on the ground. We need to be able to continue to control the ball in that manner. Our defense, I thought, played very well early. We gave them that drive, but other than that, they've been playing pretty well. We just got to keep them from getting a big play, and we just got to control the ball.
Adjustments for the second half. What's Notre Dame been doing to frustrate you?
Well, they've been bringing up an extra guy. You know, we could go to our passing game, but right now we'll see how it works. We're moving the ball fairly well on the ground at times. The option game has been pretty good to us with Eric keeping it and getting some things done there. So we'll see. If it stays like this and it stays tight, we'll have to use some play-action passes.
Coach, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Craig, Pat, back up to you.
Thank you, Bob. We now take you directly to Bruce Beck in our New York studio with the Sun America Halftime Report.
Start so far. Eric Crouch certainly the story, but the Fighting Irish, I think, Pat, have to feel pretty good about things. One of the drives went the length of the field, but it took them 14 plays and a fourth and goal conversion.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's defense, they have to be very happy with it right now. Grant Irons is out. They're going to miss Grant in the second half, I think, considerably. But if they can just kind of hang in there, try to make it a fourth quarter game.
Let's look at the halftime numbers so far at Notre Dame Stadium. The first downs, Nebraska with a little edge, but you look at the total yardage, too. Most of those two on that big run by Crouch.
Yeah, 62-yard run. You take that away, they had 100 rushing yards. And, anytime you keep Nebraska, say, maybe under 200, 250 yards rushing, you're playing pretty good defense.
The time of possession similar to, and the other glaring number, we thought Notre Dame might be passing the ball more so far. No success in the air with just 9 passing yards in the first half. But Eric Crouch, as we expected, Pat, the story so far for the Huskers.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of everything from Eric Crouch. On this run, you're going to see some incredible speed. That 10, 400-meter kind of speed, a little bit of power there at the end. That got them off. A 62-yard run. That was 110 in the first quarter. And then, a different kind of run. Kind of a little quarterback sneak after a long drive, methodical drive. So we saw the quick play, quick strike capability, and then the methodical Nebraska offense.
That was on 4th and goal, and you could see by the jersey that he earned the touchdown. 14-7 down to Bob Wischusen.
All right, Craig, thanks very much. Coach, based on what you told us this week, although you're behind on the scoreboard, it seems kind of like the game you expected it to be.
Well, I think we have to play better on defense. They mashed us a little bit there in the second quarter. They're running a fullback a little bit more than we maybe thought they would. We're trying to take that quarterback away. If we can play as good as we're capable on offense, I think it's going to be a good football game. I think our quarterback settled down towards the end of the first half. We got a chance to come back and win this football game. This first series is really critical to us on defense.
They put 160 yards rushing on the board in the first half. Is that something that obviously concerns you?
Well, they had a bunch of it on one big play with the quarterback on the option. They traded the tight end. We got messed up a little bit in our alignment, and they took advantage of it. Anytime you give up a big play, they're going to have those kind of stats. The first half is over. We got to go play this second one right now.
Good luck in the second half, Coach. Craig, Pat, back up to you.
Thank you very much, Bob. And Coach Davey echoing, Pat, the sentiment about the start of the third quarter here as you see the excitement around campus. That's a big sign.
Wow.
That's
a big house.
On the blimp.
That's a big house. Right. You need a big house to have that big a sign, right?
South Bend, Indiana. The fans are electrified this time of year on the Golden Dome when their Fighting Irish take the field. This matchup way back to 1915. Pat did not call the first game, contrary to what some are saying. They played 11 straight times in those days, but they have not met since 1947 here in Notre Dame. And the last matchup between the Ends and Notre Dame came in 1973 at the Orange Bowl. Johnny Rogers had 4 touchdowns in a 40-6 Husker win. It was the last game for Bob Delaney, and the worst loss for Ira Parsegian ever in his Irish career.
Yeah, but Ira turned it around the next year and won a national championship.
Yes.
But see, Crouch, that's the guy that Notre Dame needs to stop on this drive. And you heard Bob Davey talking about it just a moment ago. This opening drive is critical. It sets the tone, the feeling for the whole second half. So Notre Dame's defense has to really try to slow down Eric Crouch.
And they're going to have to do it again without Grant Irons, who went out with the dislocated shoulder in the second quarter. Matt McNew on the kick again goes out of bounds. Did not want that to happen. Again, Nebraska will wind up with good field position to start off. First half. What do you make of those numbers?
Well, you don't see Nebraska punt much on their opening series, believe me. Last week they went 80 yards, and then they kind of got into a rhythm, and we saw 2 different types of drives. One was a 3-play drive, and the other the 15-play, more characteristic drive. So it's a team that doesn't seem to get discouraged. A team that, as we talked about a little bit in the first half, doesn't seem to have off days because they run the ball so well.
They start at the 35 thanks to the kick. Out of bounds in the power I. In motion is the big fullback, Judd Davies. And up right up the middle for about a yard. Miller on the carry. Bob Davey was talking about the fullbacks getting the ball a lot. A little bit of a wrinkle from Nebraska so far.
Well, I mean, if you're going to playing against Nebraska, you'd love to say, hey, make the fullback beat them.
Yeah.
You don't want to have Eric Crouch have the ball in his hands 30 times a game. So I think on some of those option plays, their tackles actually go out wide, so they are forced to feed the ball to the fullback.
No gain in the play, 2nd and 10. Miller and Alexander in the I formation, twins to the left for Nebraska. Crouch on the option. He'll go to Alexander. 35, he's tripped up. Good defensive play, Ron Israel. Couple of yard pickup for Alexander, and that'll set up a third down here at 8.
Yeah, again, not a kind of down Nebraska's used to. Third and 8. Well-disciplined defense that down for Notre Dame. Israel kind of had the pitch man. They had their quarterback taken away. They had a dive man. And that's what the option forces you to play awfully disciplined defense.
Big play here, 3rd and 7. Nebraska was 1 for 6 in the game on third down. They've had their troubles on third down.
This is a guy that's
Can you option 3rd and 7 still? Or you pass it? Crouch. Trying to turn the corner and pass it. He turns the goal. Boyman got him again. Rocky Boyman showing his speed despite being 6'4", 239. And a big stop for Notre Dame.
Rocky Boyman is one of those guys that loves everything about football. He loves practice. He loves training camp. I mean, he's a guy that would play at double headers if you had him. He'd play in the parking lot. And again, maybe his dad's a little less nervous after that play by Rocky Boyman, but a good closing speed by Boyman.
Well, he's a big Reds fan. He's a baseball fan. He's like Ernie Banks. Let's play two.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I bet you Crouch thought he could outrun the big linebacker, though, and that did not work out that time. Fair catch, Julius Jones. And Notre Dame will start on the 32-yard line, a 41 punt as you look at the red-headed. And is that a face of someone who goes to Notre Dame or what? Rocky Boyman, who's got a little Irish in his blood as well, the junior from Cincinnati, Ohio. Captain of the high school track team, and he was a sprinter.
Yeah,
you saw why right there.
First half Irish possessions. He had got off to a real slow start. Just didn't look kind of in sync. Nebraska's defense can do that to you, but the 11-play touchdown drive brought him within 7.
Battle. Quick handoff to Julius Jones for a few. Jones with 37 yards rushing and 8 carries so far in the game.
That one was running to darkness. There was no daylight there because there were about 5 white jerseys stuffing up every available hole.
Bob Davie looking to get his offense going here. 22-16 lifetime. He's had some pressure coming off the 5-7 season, losing 4 straight. They had last year, but the good win last week has the Irish feeling pretty good about things. Jones, he's wrapped up by Vandenbosch. Let's go down to Bob Wischusen.
All right, guys, Grant Irons gone for the game, as you said. Defensively, well, for the Irish, offensively, they are going to be without Javin Hunter for the rest of the game. He suffered a concussion in the first half. He is in the locker room. He will not return. Back upstairs.
And Javin, a big man last week, Pat, caught a touchdown against A&M.
He had a nice catch in the first half to get called back, but big part of their offense, one of their top 3 wide receivers.
Notre Dame is 3 for 7 on third down, and here's 3rd and 8. Shotgun battle. Oh, he's taken on the outside. Fumble. Nebraska recovering. Stella on the hit.
I think Notre Dame recovered. I think Notre Dame got it.
But hang on?
Yeah, they did hang. I think Fain kind of grabbed on it. But I tell you, we talked about the speed of Randy Stella off the corner. High school running back. Incredibly fast. He is number 34. He's down here, right at the bottom. Really, no one picks him up. I mean, Jordan Black, the left tackle, had an assignment. He had a defensive end, but a good design on the blitz by Randy Stella causes the fumble.
Good recovery by Jeff Fain to quickly jump on it. The sophomore center. Both boulders back. Gets it off. Joe Walker coming up to field. No, Newcomb lost the ball, went off Walker's hands right to him. Husker bounce. Another foul, ball thrown backward, it appeared.
2 different fumbles, it looked like. That was Finley.
Got it out. It looked like it was coming out of a pitching machine or something. It shot up there like they use in practice.
Well, there wasn't much communication between the 2 deep men.
I know they're innovative, but 3 return men in the same play?
Yeah. Walker and Newcomb. And then the ball comes out. Finley's there to make the recovery.
Well, welcome back to Notre Dame. You look at the Golden Dome, and whenever the Goodyear blimp is hovering above a game with its camera focused on an event, you know you're going to get a unique view. The Spirit is based near Akron, Ohio, also the location of world headquarters for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. The first possession did not work out well for either team here in the second half. Huskers had the ball. Their second possession of the half, 1st and 10. Good field position at the 41 after the ball bounced around pinball style. And Alexander, again, is roughed up by Harrison and Driver. Alexander having a rough day getting going here, Pat. 30 yards on 11 carries.
You know, when he's at his best is really when those big old offensive linemen give him a little momentum, a little room to get something going. But I think if you get him early in the run, he's not terribly nifty. Doesn't make him miss early in the run. And that's what Notre Dame has got, some pretty good penetration. And so he hasn't had some of those thundering runs that he had last week.
He comes out of the mix here. Cornell Buckhalter is in. Twins to the left, receiver to the right. Unusual formation, more of a typical football formation here from Notre Dame. But here's the option. Whistle to play dead. Penalty on Nebraska. The 25-second clock appeared to run out on Frank Solich and the Big Red.
We saw it a lot in the first half. We're seeing it opening the second half. Some unusual down and distances for this Nebraska team. This will be 2nd and 14 now. You know, when you're the quarterback at Nebraska, you get a lot of autographs, right? You ask for a lot of autographs.
Yeah.
And you get asked, everybody's always recognize you. But we talked to Eric Crouch this week, and he said, I was at a function with Warren Buffett, the Sage of Omaha, and he got a hat signed, a Berkshire Hathaway hat signed by Warren Buffett.
Wow. 2nd and 14. Now he returned the favor too, did he not?
Yes.
Oh, big hole there. Buckhalter over midfield. He ran into Tony Driver, who drove him back, but a 17-yard gain for the second I-back, Cornell Buckhalter, senior out of Mississippi.
Good offensive line play. Buckhalter made a nice strong run, but again, it's Finoti, number 77, coming around. Jason Swab, 65, kind of blocking down. And again, really stopped by Tony Driver, but the offensive lineman really created a nice little running lane for Buckhalter.
Now back to their 590 pounds of fullback in the I formation. Davies in motion to the left. Crouch hanging on, good fake to Miller, wide open near side. Wistrom at the 30, the tight end with his first catch of the game. He always picks up a lot of yardage when he brings in the ball. Brock Williams made the stop, gain of 17.
16 catches last year, what he averaged 27 yards a catch. And again, the tight end, when they get this two tight end formation, it really is it turns out to be a passing formation for them. They kind of fake the ball inside, looks like an option. And here he comes, a little delay, wide open. And he actually had a couple of guys open here.
Well, he's effective too on the play action, Pat. He sells it so well, keeps the ball down. You can't really see him.
Well, if you're linebacker too, believe me, you're worrying about that halfback and fullback.
1st and 10, 28-yard line. This running gives up to Alexander, running left, out to the 10. Walton trying to catch him, can't do it, touchdown! Dan Alexander, a 28-yard touchdown run. As the Nebraska offense clicking, doing all kinds of things to mess up the Notre Dame D.
Now this was a good change of direction by Alexander. Sees it right there, right at the very beginning of the run. That time he did actually plan off that right foot, then the speed. 245 pounds, the biggest I-back Nebraska has ever had. And again, I give an awful lot of credit for those 5 offensive linemen for creating some holes.
Extra point. Josh Brown is good. So Nebraska has 3 touchdowns on 4 possessions now. Alexander had just 29 yards his first 11 carries, but this one, the biggie, the home run he was looking for, 28-yarder for a 21-7 Husker lead. The last time the Fighting Irish squared off against the Cornhuskers, the 1973 Orange Bowl in Miami. On that day, Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Rodgers showed why he was named the country's top player. He had 4 touchdowns in the game, and he left in the 3rd quarter with 81 rushing yards on 15 carries. He also threw a touchdown pass to Frosty the Snowman Anderson as Nebraska rolled to the easy win, becoming the first team to win 3 straight Orange Bowls. It was the last game for head coach Bob Devaney, who was replaced the following year by Tom Osborne.
When Johnny Rodgers used to go back to accept punts, now I think there was unbelievable anticipation. I mean, everybody expected, myself included, that something exciting was going to happen.
He was something else. Record 4 touchdowns. And then Tom Osborne took over, and what a run he had until Frank Solich the last 3 years for Nebraska. Here's Jones on the run. Jones to the 30. He may go. 40. By the kicker, 50. Jones to the 20. A 100-yard return. No flags. Started Julius Jones at running back because he wanted the home run. He got the long ball, but it was on the kickoff return, and what a time to do it for Notre Dame.
You know, I'm really surprised. Notre Dame has had 3 big kickoff returns against a team that kicks the ball off an awful lot. Only Tim Brown had more return yards in one season than Julius Jones.
Center's extra point is good. It's a 7-point game again.
Greg, this is the same return they ran just a moment ago to their left. And wait till there's a tremendous hole. This is good scouting. You're going to see there's going to be a giant lane out to his left. And there's the lane right through there. And then all he has to do, there's a lane here. There isn't, he gets a little seal block. And then it's just he and the kicker. I'll tell you, that is good scouting and then good execution by Notre Dame. You know, the offense was struggling. Defense just gave up a touchdown. How do you get back in the ball game, get your special teams to make a play? And Julius Jones has done it now for 2 years for the Irish in the special teams play.
100-yard return for Julius Jones, a sophomore tailback.
You know, he may end up being the most explosive player at Notre Dame since Tim Brown. He's a pretty good return guy himself.
So the fans celebrating with 8.5 left in the third quarter, and especially, Pat, with the offense struggling really to get going overall, to have it on the special teams, you're right back in the game. You don't have to have your offense march 80 yards downfield. That was the first career kickoff return for a touchdown for the exciting Julius Jones.
Although he has had some other returns for touchdowns around here. Special teams can win a couple of ball games a year for you. Notre Dame had to call a timeout. Yeah, that's a wasted opportunity. A timeout on a kickoff. I don't get that one.
Wow. Well, Jones last year pulled his heroics on return. It was a punt return late in the game against Boston College when Jones took this punt, November of '99, and he took it 67 yards for a touchdown. Last time that has happened for the Fighting Irish, that was against BC a year ago. And here's today's bat.
Yeah, again, I think it's well designed. First of all, it's well designed because there aren't any white jerseys for the first 15 yards of the run. So they saw something in Nebraska's coverage, because that's the exact same return he had a while ago for about 40 yards, this time 100 yards. So good execution, good scouting, good all the way around in the special teams.
Now, Athlon Sports Magazine, how about this? Now, this is getting carried away.
It is, but go ahead.
Projecting on the NFL All-Decade team, picked Jones as one of the 2 running backs along with Edgerrin James. The NFL All-Decade team.
Yeah, this NFL 2000 to 2009, right? Peyton Manning's the quarterback of that team. Yeah.
Bob Davies said, "You must have a good press agent." Julius Jones, an impact player, but
well, you know,
ever since a great NFLer.
When he walked on this campus a year ago as a freshman out of Virginia, Big Stone Gap, Virginia, I'll tell you, there have been really high expectations for Julius Jones. Today he gets his first start. Has done a lot as a running back yet, but certainly made a difference on the special teams play.
Matt McNew, who spent 4 years on the soccer team here, and then kind of surprised some people because he actually had another year of eligibility left to play football for 1 season. Played 4 years of soccer, wrapped that up.
He was their sweeper on their on the Irish team. Played back behind the goal. Big tall guy, 6'5".
They love his hang time. He also had 3 touchbacks last week, but he's been knocking him out of bounds today. Walker at the 1.
Oh my.
Walker trying to find some room, gets through the 20 to about the 23. Tackle was made in the play by Mike Goolsby for Notre Dame. NBC Tuesdays this fall, the Michael Richards Show returning to NBC. Starring in his first comedy is Michael Richards. This is going to be a fun show. The Michael Richards Show, America's Funniest Private Eye, in this new must-see Tuesday series. Look for the Michael Richards Show Tuesdays this fall on NBC.
Well, I just saw Mark Saab from Notre Dame on a special teams play just get hammered. It's like lemmings off a cliff. I mean, that is, you don't want to be playing special teams.
That pancake there, huh?
Yeah, oh.
Eric Crouch. Give to the I-back. Alexander. And look at you talked earlier about that offensive line, and just, it's a mash.
Yeah.
Just moving forward.
And pushing blue jerseys back 2 or 3 yards. There's Schwab, number 65, and in his Cirque 6th year. You know, they've had a great history of Outland Trophy winners at Nebraska. Jacobson in 70, right on through Aaron Taylor in 1997, and they have a couple candidates this year in the offensive line. The center, Dominic Raiola, a unique kind of player, and right guard Russ Hochstein, number 55, both of whom will play particularly well today. Particularly Hochstein. He has really been out in front.
A Nebraska boy who said he would be the water boy in this team. That's what it means to him to play. Handoff, Buckhalter in. Weaver made the stop. Few yards for Nebraska.
Yeah, Hochstein, when we spoke with him this week, was saying, you know, I grew up, always wanted to play at Nebraska. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to play here. You know, sometimes you hear that, it sounds kind of hokey, but, you know, he really meant it. He was really passionate about it.
Russ out of Hardington, Nebraska. Love his size and quickness. He was all Big 12 last year.
Went to his first game at 13.
Big 3rd and 1. Nebraska 1 for 7 on 3rd downs. Crouch give, big hole there. First down and more. Buckhalter getting the yardage, and you see the weapons they have. We talked about Crouch. Then you see Alexander run at you back. Then you see Cornell Buckhalter, a 6 foot, 225-pound I-back out of Mississippi.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to get a lot of penetration when you got the 300-pound line in front of you. I mean, you mentioned all those guys, Craig, and you know, Nebraska may go on and win this game. They may go on and win a national championship. They're certainly an awfully good football team, but their MVP, in my mind, might end up being Bobby Newcomb, because he could have handled the switch from quarterback to wide receiver a lot differently than he did. It could have ruined this team.
He had the job he always dreamed about, and then Solich made the switch. 3rd game last year. They're looking for Davison passing. Davison's open, 45-yard line. Well thrown by Crouch, and that's more of that setup we keep talking about, because when they throw the pass, you're not ready for it, and Davison makes a big grab. Gain of 18.
Yeah, Matt Davison talked to us this week about setting up defensive backs. You know, he comes out of the huddle and all the runs and tries to make it look a little different each time out of the huddle. Good corner route. The ball was thrown a little bit behind him, but Davis did a great job, see, kind of selling the run. Then he kind of comes out of the cut, then uses his body as a screen. He can be almost a basketball player there as he screened number 42 Shane Walton away from the ball.
Pat, what do you do when you're the defense? You know you're being set up, but you still got to respect the option, and it's very hard to defend them when they play action. Here's Crouch right up the gut. Davies, the fullback, who had a 13-yard pickup in the first half, gets 1, maybe 2. Lance Legree on the stop.
It's power, then it's finesse, and then, you know, again, the sprinkle the little passes to your tight end, occasionally to Matt Davis and the wide receiver. You know, it is hard to stop everything. And if they don't stop themselves, I mean, you need to beat Nebraska or slow them down. You need some help. You need a couple of turnovers. They protected the ball particularly well today.
Miller leading Buckhalter in the I formation. It's Davison in motion to the left. Pair of tight ends as well. Crouch option. He'll give it back to Buckhalter. Defense there still squeaks through for a couple of yards on the 2nd and 8.
Well, Notre Dame's defense needs to make a play right now. It's 3rd and about 6-7 yards. I mean, they got a great play out of their special teams, but now they need to make a play right here. Force a punt.
Buckhalter with 7 carries, 42 yards. It is a little bit cooler this week. Is there a wear down effect, though? We've seen the long churning drive from Nebraska.
I'd be surprised if every team is not worn down by Nebraska. I mean, it takes twice as much energy to play defense. That's why we say, hey, on the field too long on defense.
3rd and 7, 2 for 8 on 3rd down. Twins to the right, option Crouch. He gives a late one, blocker in front of Alexander. Alexander met with a tough hit.
Oh, Denman.
Anthony Denman, I think he got him just before the first down yardage. But it'll be 4th and short. We'll see what Nebraska will do.
I'm very surprised Nebraska doesn't go for it. But nonetheless, Anthony Denman, an incredible collision here with Dan Alexander. I mean, again, Alexander's 245 pounds, and Denman knocks him backwards. That doesn't happen to Dan Alexander much.
Dan hit hard by Denman. Denman says his most stimulating class is conflict and resolution. It's something you can take right to the field, too, right?
Last time they ran a sneak in this situation.
Let's see how they're doing the conflict here. 4th down. Over the top is Alexander.
He's got it.
And he's going to pick up the first down. Tony Driver tried to meet him in midair to stop him, but a good force from the line, and Alexander launching for the first down.
Yeah, you know, if your offensive line takes off and gets low, it's hard for those linebackers, DBs, to kind of leap over and meet the runner coming over the top. See, a lot of the times, watch these guys, the offensive line, the little surge there, so it's really hard to get over the top to stop your runner.
2 tight end formation. John Bowling is on the near side. Wistrom on the far side. Power I option. And look at that. Fake the pass. Now throws it. Picked off the hands of Davey. Shane Walton. And the power I play action. And they were going for the fullback on a pass, and Shane Walton comes up with a huge turnover for Notre Dame. Eric Crouch picked off the deflection off Davies, and the Irish will take over after the big turnover. It's 21-14.
Two tight ends in here for Nebraska. That's a passing formation for them usually. And there's the fullback, Judd Davies, who comes out of the backfield. Now, he is wide open. I mean, the tight end, one of the tight end runs the corners off in the flat. The ball just thrown a little bit high off his hands, and Shane Walton makes a big play. We talked about the defense having to come up with 2 turnovers. There's one of them.
You know, the other factor too, Pat, is that Bob Davie worried about that tight end. Obviously, the team knew twin tight ends. Watch them. They go for the tight ends, and they throw to the fullback.
That's good offensive scheme.
It did not work out, though. The throw was off the mark. How about this number? Eric Crouch, last 2 years, 4 interceptions each year. This year, 3 interceptions already. 2 last week, and then 1 today. So a big one for the Irish. They battled back. It was 21-7 not too long ago. They got the good kickoff return. Unbelievable one. And now they get the turnover. Fisher on the option. Not much to him. Couple of yards, maybe. Carlos Polk, the linebacker, with the stop. Set up 2nd and 9 as you look at Carlos Polk. Likeable guy. We talked to him this week. Grew up in Big Ten country in Illinois, but he always liked the Big 8.
Yeah.
And he followed Colorado and Nebraska. A lot of people were trying to push him toward Notre Dame or the Big Ten. He said, nope. Dad's a construction worker. Mom a real estate agent. And he is a good student as well. Battle throwing. Holloway, the tight end. And he nearly broke free of Joe Walker. It's a big gainer for Battle and the Irish of 25.
Okay, the Irish this half have got a big play on special teams. Now they've got one in the passing game. You know, trailing by 7, the offense really hasn't been able to get much going this half until this play. Again, really, it looks like Nebraska's offense. You know, you kind of run it, then you throw the ball to the tight end up the field. But that was a real momentum changer for the Irish, and particularly for Arnaz Battle, a confidence builder.
Arnaz with just his 2nd completion. Takes the handoff. He's keeping. And well played. And it was Lauren Kaiser, number 91, the senior defensive tackle, who did not let Battle get away.
Yeah, you're right. Disciplined play by Lauren Kaiser, number 91. Amazing, really, that he is playing. What, a week before last week's game, had a appendicitis attack, lost 27 pounds, went from, he's back to, I think, about 280. But still, it was remarkable that he played last week.
Had the appendectomy on the 23rd of August, and he's already back. But not quite as strong last week. They're hoping as the weeks go on, he'll get stronger and stronger. 2nd and 8 at the 46. Battle, play action. Fisher's got a man wide open, and it's knocked away. Incomplete Gatherall. But also open was Holloway, the tight end. He went for the flanker Gatherall, and it was knocked aside by Eric Sweeney.
Yeah, you're right. They'll watch this tape tomorrow, and they'll say, hey, you should have thrown the ball to Jabari Holloway. He chose to go outside, and pretty good throw, actually, but Aaron Sweeney, number 16, just did a great job. I mean, defensive backs are beaten for a while generally, but it's the catch-up speed, the closing speed, and you're going to close that gap and knock it away. Terrific play by Sweeney.
That's an incompletion you can handle other than the Holloway factor. He's thrown well in the deep play, made a great play on it, but he did have Holloway for first down. 3rd and 8. Irish 3 of 8 on 3rd down. Some pressure. Battle getting away. Throwing a little strong. Holloway one-handed.
Yeah, just rushing.
Not handle it. A little bit sharp for Holloway to handle.
Just a little bit rushed. And, you know, when you're getting pummeled and you're getting that kind of rush, sometimes you do rush yourselves. He did a good job of escaping Jason Lure, number 70. But, boy, did he have Holloway. It's two plays in a row he had Holloway open. He absolutely knows it. Let a first down or maybe more get away with that one.
First down that would lead to perhaps even a field goal, at least the kind of yardage you could have picked up. Joey Hillbo's 6th punt of the day. Joe Walker is back at the 8-yard line. Walker angles to the 15. And he's just going to take a little pick up there.
It looked like he had a fair catch. Yeah. It looked like he put his right hand up.
I don't see a flag, but I
don't see a flag either. Well, there it comes.
There it is.
I thought he had his right hand up. A little indecision, you know. Don't give him the wine list.
Could be there for a while waiting for dinner, huh?
Invalid fair catch signal. Return the ball. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Joe Walker, number 25, did a good job on special teams and at the rover position. Watch his right hand. It goes, kind of goes up there. You know, as you look at that replay, I'm not so sure.
He didn't sell it very well after he caught it because it looked like he was thinking fair catch himself. Back in a moment from Notre Dame. Good one, 21-14. Back at Notre Dame, Nebraska scored early in the quarter to go up 21-14 in the Alexander run. Notre Dame came back on the return. Now Nebraska will start at the 10 after the delay of game penalty for the false fair catch. And up Denman, a collision.
Anytime you mention Denman's name, it's a collision.
Let's go down to Bob Wischusen.
All right, Craig, thanks very much. On the Nebraska sideline, first significant injury report from their sideline. Correll Buckhalter, who makes up that I-back backfield with Dan Alexander. Hyperextended knee. Right now he's trying to walk it off. They're going to try to get him back in the game, but as of now, he's out. Back upstairs to you guys.
Thanks, Bob. The beauty of depth for Nebraska is they don't miss a beat when they lose one of their I-backs. The other guy gets so much playing time. Does take away a little bit from giving a rest or a spot. Crouch has got some room here. 15. Oh, late pitch, a beauty to Alexander. Past the 20 to 23. Is that nifty or what?
That is a beautiful thing. You know, it's a dangerous thing. That's why they turned the ball over some last year. But if you can run the option and make a guy defend that option way down the field, 10 yards down, you have something working. Man, oftentimes, or most of the time, the option play, the ball is going to get pitched early. Rarely do you see it pitched this late. But it usually means big plays. I think, was it Brock Williams that kind of shaken up a little bit?
Williams
Number one.
Driver in on the hit. You got to have a courageous quarterback to do it.
Wow, 238 yards rushing for Nebraska.
You know you're going to take the bump because everybody's playing you as the runner. I formation, 1st and 10, 24-yard line. Alexander again, over the 30. Moyman on the stop.
Left side of the line. Finotti, number 77. Dave Volk, number 58. They pulled, led the way. I mean, there's a big hole there because those two guys, there's Volk, number 58. Finotti, number 77. Powerful player. Big hole there for Alexander. Solich said about Finotti how powerful he was.
He's from Hawaii. We're kidding with him, saying that it must be tough to get the assistant coaches to recruit to Hawaii. He said, well, it is this time of year because it's a red eye there and back. Everybody wants to go in the spring. Hand off for a couple of yards, but they're having success too, Pat, recruiting in Hawaii. Dominic Raiola, the center, and I would think that sort of feeds on itself.
Absolutely. I think they have 5 guys actually on the roster from Hawaii. They also have, amazing, we talked about the walk-on program, 24 walk-ons here today out of their 88-man roster.
Final moments of the third quarter will tick down before we get another snap. So Frank Solich and his #1 Cornhuskers are in a tussle. They lead 21-14 after 3 quarters, and we'll be right back after these words from your local station. Back in Notre Dame, if you thought it was going to be a blowout, some Husker fans did. Not so. A good one, 21-14 in this historic matchup. First time the Huskers have come to this stadium since 1947. And a big 3rd and 1 rather, coming up from the 33. So far the Huskers are 1 for 2 on the short yardage plays. 3rd down. Crouch will keep. That worked on the touchdown earlier, and that'll work for the first down right here.
And Craig, you know what I like about the call? It's a quick count. I mean, just when you figure you're going to settle in and kind of grub in on defense and get ready for that 3rd and 1, boom, the ball snapped and you're gone. They've done that twice, on the touchdown and on that 3rd and 1. You know, Eric Crouch is an easy guy to like for offensive linemen. I mean, he's as tough as they come. I mean, and we were talking last week to Russ Hochstein, who said, I love this guy. I mean, he's tough. He's not a prima donna. He's a great leader. He's confident.
He does it all. He's just a junior, too, from Omaha, Nebraska. And off to Buchalter for a yard or 2.
We talked about him getting Warren Buffett's autograph a while back from Omaha. He's going to have his own moniker. You know, the sage of Omaha is Warren Buffett. We'll have to find some moniker for Eric Crouch.
Well, he left a couple of options open coming out of school. We mentioned that he went to the Notre Dame camp, went to Ohio State. But he said about here it was just a different atmosphere, a small town. Didn't seem right, and he wasn't sure if they wanted him as a quarterback. Bob Davie, who was his first year, drove him back to the airport. Crouch is from Omaha, Nebraska. People from other areas might not think of that as a larger city, but it is a little bit larger and more metropolitan than South Bend. And, of course, he plays now in Lincoln, a smaller town. But home for him. Cross to Buchalter for a couple.
And Brock Williams, #1, back in the ballgame. Brock Williams, we saw him for the first time in a year last week, coming off a year's suspension. Changed his number to start a new career, if you will, at Notre Dame. Good discipline. They've done a pretty good job on the pure option plays, Craig. You know, forcing the pitches. That's what they want to do. They did want to force Crouch to pitch it. Notre Dame's defense has done a good job there.
Pat, how about the amount of times in this game Notre Dame has forced the 3rd and long?
Yeah, unusual.
That's big.
It's very unusual for Nebraska in those kind of situations. They're generally in the 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2s.
Makes running the option a little more difficult from a Husker standpoint because you need a lot of yards to get the first down. 3rd and short, you can go either way. Crouch looking, throwing right. Davison, nearly picked off, but well played by Brock Williams, the left cornerback. And a forced to punt as they had a pass on 3rd and long.
Back-to-back plays by Brock Williams. This is why it's hard to play corner at any level. You know, he's up here. Watch him look, see him looking in. He sees it. As soon as he sees him, he drives. As soon as he sees the quarterback pull up. But the play before on the option play, Brock Williams is the one who made the stop. And then on the pass play, Brock Williams knocks it away. 2 good plays by Brock Williams.
Brock Williams, a guy who had his problems last year, set up the entire year, breaking some university rules. Davey got him in the office, told him, actually kicked him right out of the office. It's up to you. And what he has done, the way he's responded, Davey says is unbelievable. And he credits Brock's parents very strong for the support. And he's become a good player again in his senior year. So Deathrow is back. Never takes the fair catch. Finds a seam 30. 40-yard line Deathrow. 50. Fakes the kicker. He's going to the 40. He may go. Touchdown. No flags again. The second return for a touchdown for Notre Dame in this game, and it's got them within a point. The 5'7" senior who has pure speed showed it there, and he also showed an incredibly nifty move on Dan Haydenfeld, the kicker. Set up for the extra point to tie. It's good.
183 yards in returns this half by Notre Dame. A touchdown by Julius Jones on the kickoff, and this time Joey Deathrow, their normal punt returner, a guy who never fair catches. And he doesn't waste any time. A quick move there, picks up a nice block. I believe that was by Tony Driver. There's the move on Haydenfield right there. And then the guy's got remarkable speed. And this guy is tough. 2 giant special teams plays. The move coming up, right up the middle. There's the move, back outside. Wow. And then a couple of Nebraska Cornhuskers had an angle on him. And Joey Gedrall just outran the angle. Boy, that's, I don't blame him for missing that. That was a heck of a move.
Didn't lose an ounce of speed in the move either.
Absolutely.
Wow. Look at the bench.
We often forget that there are 3 phases of football. We always talk about offense and defense, special teams. For the Irish, the second half have been remarkable.
Second career punt return for a touchdown for Joey Gedrall. And on a day where the offense has not really been clicking after one good series in the first half, Battle is 2 for 12 with an interception. The rushing game's been pretty effective, but it's been the special teams so far that have bailed out the Irish and got them tied with the #1 team in the country. Kickoff, Walker in a tie game, 2 yards deep, will take it out, try one return of his own. He's knocked out of bounds on the play. Jerome Sapp.
Well, Nebraska is the #1 football team in the country. And this is when you find out a lot about the #1 team. The game is tied. It's in the 4th quarter. You're on the road, hostile crowd. And this is where a guy like Eric Crouch has to make some plays.
We'll start from the 23. Bob Davie certainly sold it to us, Pat, when we talked to him, that we're not out here just to compete.
Yeah.
We're not out here just to look good. At Notre Dame, we feel we can compete and win even this game. We know it's a tough task, but we'll see. A lot of time to go still, but so far a good effort. Crouch in trouble. Denman and Boyman and the linebackers, a major effort today for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Anthony Denman, number 39, has played phenomenally. That's Ryan Roberts. And we mentioned Rocky Boyman as well. But number 39 is right here in the middle. Kind of fights through some traffic like a running back and gobbles him up. Yeah, that was Anthony Denman.
Crouch's leg was grabbed by one of the interior linemen as well in the play. Ryan Roberts, I think, got a piece of it. So here he goes, 2nd and long again, 2nd and 11. Crouch on the option, play action, trying to find one down the middle. And the quarterback, they throw the flag on Davison as Williams and Israel are all over Davison.
Well, the Irish,
it's unfortunate for the Irish, Pat, because he was not open at all. That ball was going to be incomplete.
He wasn't. And you know, the Irish have been plagued by pass interference calls really for last year as well as last week.
Defense, 15 yards. First down.
If you're a quarterback looking at this one, generally you say you don't throw this ball. The wide receiver right here has 2 guys on him. That's Davison, number 3. He's going to run the post route. Brock Williams is there, and over the top comes... Yeah, they knocked him down. Yeah, Ron Israel, number 5.
Israel was looking at the ball all the way, I thought, Pat.
No, I think he ran through him. You still have to get the opportunity to catch him.
Yes, you do.
He ran through him, and I think it's a good call.
I'm not sure Israel took notice of Davison where he was. He stood up looking at the ball and collided with him along with Wood. They sandwiched Davison. So a break for Nebraska. And again, the rush up the middle. Lance Legree. B.J. Scott on the stop for Notre Dame.
Frank Solich. Yeah, Frank Solich. This is probably at the end. If he comes out with a win here, this is going to be a good game, a good learning experience for his team. I mean, the #1 team in the nation. Going to a place like this, you find out a lot about your team early in the season.
Both teams are getting a major lesson here today for themselves. A pitch, a good fake. Newcomb, he is shifty. Oh, well played though. Shane Walton stepped up for Notre Dame on a shifty player in Bobby Newcomb, the wingback.
Some really good tackling the last few series by the corners of Notre Dame. Brock Williams before, this time the other corner, 42, Shane Walt, another former soccer star at Notre Dame. Played his freshman year as all Big East, scored 10 goals, their leading scorer. Another big down here for Nebraska, 3rd and 8.
They are 3 for 11 on 3rd down. Again, Crouch will come up tight, drop back, go on the screen. Rover throws his man at Alexander, and that doesn't have a chance even if he caught it. Great coverage and defense by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're going to get the ball back.
I just think Nebraska is seeing some down and distance situations that they just don't have, they don't see often. They're not comfortable in, and they didn't handle well that time. Very slowly developing play that time.
Would you say it might be the one thing that can be disruptive to their style, their option style? That is 3rd and long.
Yeah.
You're not buying the option quite as well.
Absolutely.
Julius Jones is back. Not Getherall this time. Joey might still be tired after the last one. Fair catching with a man right in his face. And there's the flag. Yes, he was not given room to make the catch. Flag was on the Juan Rose of Nebraska. He had fair caught it around the 23, I believe. Had that situation in last week's game where Getherall was nailed on a situation where he was not allowed to catch the ball, but he took the price. That time it was a real poor move.
I've got to say interference, non-contact, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Ball come up to the 30-yard line for Nebraska as Julius Jones, and you can't blame Nebraska for trying to keep a close eye on these returners. That time it cost them 5 yards. One of America's most enduring corporate images, the Goodyear blimp floating overhead, providing our aerial views for today's game. The Spirit of Goodyear, one of 7 airships in the Goodyear blimp fleet. Goodyear now has 3 blimps in the United States, 2 in Europe, 1 in South America, and 1 in Australia. And the blimp is capturing some nice pictures today on an afternoon day in Notre Dame. Terrence Howard for a few yards. The latest chapter in a storied history of 2 teams, 2 of the winningest teams in college football history. Some thought might be a bit of a mismatch coming in. Not turned out like that. Number 23
I don't
Irish.
think any of the Nebraska players felt that way. Certainly the Notre Dame players did. But if you look at Frank Solich, you think about Nebraska and the way they and Florida State really have dominated the college football scene over the last 7 years. It's been pretty remarkable.
Twin tight ends. Holloway O'Leary on the left side of the Irish line. The play action for Battle. He's rolling, looking for the tight end Holloway. Well defended. Flag on the play though, maybe too well. Sweeney may have got a right hand on Holloway. Looks like it's going to be a pass interference.
Well, I tell you, this Erwin Sweeney is an awfully good player. He might have gotten a hand on the shoulder of the tight end Jabari Holloway. They're going to call it offensive. They're going to call it offensive. Yeah, Sweeney did it,
Like he did a good job.
Yeah, he's played pretty well all day in the passing game. Remember those guys going man-to-man.
So it's offensive pass interference, and how about that for a...
Pass interference, offense, 15 yards, same down.
Pass interference called against the Irish.
Jabari Holloway, number 87. Not offensive interference there. That's not pushing off. Maybe I don't know if it's somewhere else. That is not that is not offensive pass. They may have called it offensive pass interference, but that's not offensive pass interference.
Rough call for the Irish. Cost them 15 yards.
That's a bad call.
Boy, they will not like that when they look at the tape. And such a critical spot here, too. Now it's all of a sudden 2nd and 23. We haven't seen too many of these situations in the game.
Quarterback draw.
Battle back. Thought about the draw. Has some room. Up to the 20. Look at him go for the 30. Ernest Battle to midfield. Down to the 40 of Nebraska. They saw it. They had it, and they saw number 3 somehow fly through like Haley's Common. 38-yard pickup. Wow.
Greg, anytime you see a formation where you see so many wide receivers spread out, you got to be thinking or worried about a quarterback draw with Arnaz Battle. I mean, he's got vision, he's got speed. I mean, he's not a quarterback right now. He's a running back, and a pretty doggone good one. 38 yards. Big play when they needed it after the penalty.
Good call, Pat.
It was a nice day going 86 yards.
The Huskers could have used your thoughts before that play.
Well, I think they probably figured that one out, too.
First and 10, reverse to the 39. It's Gethero at the big return. He fell down running into
Mike
the
Gandy.
lineman Gandy in front of him, and he picked up 5 yards.
But you know why he ran into Gandy? Clint Finley, number 19 for the Cornhuskers, did a great job of just kind of standing Mike Gandy up. I mean, Mike Gandy there's Finley, number 19, but he's the one that really caused that play. I believe this is Finley in here. Watch him. He's going to come back out. Right there. Watch those guys. So it was a good play by Clint Finley, the free safety.
Nowhere to go. 35-yard line. High formation. It's Gibbons in motion. With the deep back, that's Howard for a few yards, near first down yardage. I think he came up about 2 yards shy. It'll set up 3rd and 2 from the 31. Still long field goal range here for Notre Dame.
Terrence Howard is one of 3 tailbacks that play a lot for Notre Dame. We've seen Julius Jones, who started the game, Tony Fisher, a little bit of the option, but Terrence Howard is a smooth, powerful guy who can really catch the ball out of the backfield. And he is very, very smooth. Get him in some open space. He's got a great strike.
3rd down and 2. Irish 3 out of 9. And 1 for 2 on 3rd down short yardage. Full house backfield behind Battle. It's to the Fisher.
Nope,
he did not get it. He's out about the 30-yard line.
A tough call here for Bob Davey.
47-yard field goal. Nick Setta, the kicker, has only 1 field goal this year, 32 yards, and he is a new kicker. So he has not proven that he can hit the long one. Looks like they're going to go for it.
Well, this is probably a pretty good time if you're going to use the timeout to use what Notre Dame has 2 of them. You know, I think one thing that affects your play calling is Nebraska is so good at blocking kicks that has to enter your mind a little bit. They blocked 10 a year ago.
Yeah, you're right. And you got a sophomore kicker who's only had 1 kick in his career. So, big 4th and 1. Battle on the fake. On 4th and 1, he's looking to throw. And he throws it incomplete.
O'Leary
was trickery they tried, didn't work.
But O'Leary was open really early. Dan O'Leary, the tight end, was wide open early. Arnaz Battle could not get him the ball because of some rush, some people in his face. O'Leary's down here. And Arnaz Battle, see O'Leary at the bottom of the screen in here? He was open very early. You know, that's one of those plays on 4th and 1 in the play action. You have a guy, is he going to be wide open early, and you got to get him the ball early. Big play by Nebraska's defense.
Finley had nice coverage after Battle lost his moment. How about the call there, 4th and 1?
You know, I like the call. Yeah. I think you got to get rid of the ball quickly.
21-21, 6:48 to go in the 4th.
Well, it's a tied ball game because of the Irish special teams. 100-yard kickoff return in this second half by Julius Jones. And then Joey Gethero, 83-yard punt return. So it's been a kind of an unconventional second half here for the Irish, but they put up 2 touchdowns via the special teams.
And the Irish knew they were going to need all facets here. Straight up, man for man. Might not be the matchup conventionally, but they have pulled off some of the tricks with the terrific returns, and the defense certainly has played admirably well against this high-powered attack. Hand off for a couple. But that's been the story. I've said it several, hand off for a couple, or 2 or 3, and it's putting them in the 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Legree and Harrison on the stop.
We've only seen really Eric Crouch on the you know, you look at the 1st and 2nd half. Eric Crouch had that 162-yard run, but other than that, the Irish have kept him in pretty good check because they forced him to pitch the ball in the options, and then when he runs the veer option, they're allowing him to give the ball to the fullback. So again, pretty good design by the defense.
14 carries in the game for Crouch. 2nd and 6. Single back fake. Crouch, he can run. He's going to take a sack. Roberts and Boyman And I thought Crouch could have taken and gone on forever there. He was actually looking to pass across the field, and he wound up getting sacked by the Notre Dame D.
How about Robin Roberts? He's the one filling in for Grant Irons. Again, beautiful play fake by Crouch. He could have run, you're right, but they were going for the home run. Ryan Roberts steps in for Grant Irons. He gets some help from Rocky Boyman. They first force a 3rd and 12. 5:30 remaining in the ball game.
That was that play Bob Davies been worried about. The quarterback comes out on the option and usually throws to the tight end. Little shovel pass. Alexander has it, but he again runs in to the Notre Dame defense. Anthony Weaver and Anthony Denman on the stop.
Anthony Denman had a good second half.
Man.
Boy, and now who's going back in punt formation is Julius Jones. Whether it's Julius Jones or Joey Getherall, you have a pretty good punt returner. And the student body knows that.
So do the Irish and the Huskers. It's Jones back. Well, you know you've got a great punt returner too when you have the other guy. Getherall returned the touchdown. Jones is on the kickoff, and Jones is going to get another shot at the boomer here. Let's see what he does at the 20. Man, right on him. It's DeJuan Gross. Good tackle, great coverage by Gross.
Yeah, he is a really good special teams player, DeJuan Gross. Penalty earlier in the game, but you know he should have really been blocked by Shane Walton, number 42, but goes right through the block by Walton and then just hammers Julius Jones. Good play by Gross.
Back at Notre Dame Stadium, 21-21, 4:42 to go down to Bob Wischusen.
Craig, thanks very much. Grant Irons has returned to the sideline in street clothes and a sling. Obviously, he's out of the game with the separated shoulder, but he has been a wild man. Up and down the bench, patting every single guy on his defensive unit on the back. Also, Bob Davie and the defensive coordinator both coming over to the sideline after that last stand, and they let the defense know that if the defense wins this game for the Irish and shuts out Nebraska the rest of the way, they'll probably be able to hang on. Back upstairs to you.
All right. Rocky Boyman has been a big reason why they've held Nebraska to 3 touchdowns. And that is saying something when you talk about the Cornhusker. Oh, 1st and 10, 20. Julius Jones, 4 yards, maybe 5 yards to the 25. You talk about the importance of protecting the ball and security. Now it is really of ultimate importance.
Well, the coaches here at Notre Dame make all the running backs, including Julius Jones, go to class, believe it or not, with a football in their arms. They sleep at night with a football in their arms, and seems to be working.
Covered with a slippery substance. 2nd and 6, 25 option. Battle got rid of it nicely. Jones turns the corner. Flag is down. Got to the 35-yard line. Flag thrown in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, that back judge, it's usually they're going to call someone a tight end when that back judge throws that flag. And, you know, it's a holding. He usually looks at the tight ends. Yeah. That official is back in center field, middle of the field, on the defensive side of the ball. Their assignment is to really look at tight ends mostly, tight ends and outside linebackers. And
Holding offense, spot foul, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
Battle did a nice job on the late pitch that time, getting Jones sprung. But the holding penalty on Notre Dame will bring it back.
Well, you know, 2nd and 13, knowing the situation, Arnaz needs to know it's tied up at 21. You have 2 downs to pick up that 1st down. Maybe you run that draw, screen, little trap. Just, you know, don't take a sack, and certainly don't throw the interception. Don't force the ball.
2nd and 13, 5 penalties for Notre Dame now, 49 yards. Shotgun formation.
And there is some confusion.
Battle on the pitch. Shovel pass. Return the favor to Terrence Howard. And he got a few yards. The Huskers tried that one in the last series. Still going to be 3rd and long.
Yeah, but a nice call. I mean, it's kind of a safe little pass. If he drops it, remember, it is not a fumble. It would be an incompleted pass. But you invite everybody upfield in the shotgun formation and try to slip something underneath him.
Nebraska played that very well. In fact, the defense for Nebraska, let's give them credit. They've done a very good job allowing just 1 touchdown against the Fighting Irish and really negating the passing game. 2 for 13 for Battle. Just 34 yards passing. May have to do it here. 3rd and 7. Battle's going to throw it. This one is way overthrown. He was hit as he was blitzed, and hit hard as he was going for Getherall. Vanden Bosch put on the pressure, and Notre Dame will have to punt.
Yeah, Vander Bosch and a couple of linebackers were all around Arnaz Battle. Really didn't have any kind of chance. Man-for-man coverage up here inside. Polk, you can see all the outside guys as well. It's just a matter of time till they get to the quarterback, and you were hoping that your wide receiver Joey Getherall could just get to that post a little bit faster and give him a chance to catch it.
Looked like he got rid of the ball cleanly, actually.
Yeah.
He was hit right after the release. I don't know if that affected the pass or not. Maybe rushed him a little bit, however. You can sense the pressure.
Nice punt.
Here's the punt by Hilbold. It is a good one. Joe Walker, 32. And the flag is called again on the reception as Clifford Jefferson came in and may not have given the yardage. There's so much excitement and anticipation in this game. The return man appeared not to be giving the receiving guys some room.
You know, I think it's got to be awfully hard for a guy running down the field because, you know, you see the guy about to catch. You know it's not a fair catch because he didn't raise his hand, but just don't exactly know when the ball's going to arrive.
Catch interference, 5 yards.
It's going to be on Clifford Jefferson, number 15. You need to give the guy 2 yards. Close call, but
that's a rough call. That is a rough call. You're coming down to receive. The guy doesn't call a fair catch. There is some risk of not calling a fair catch.
Right.
It's a tough call.
But you have to give him 2 yards. You have to give him 2 yards. He was right on that border.
It's only a 5-yard penalty. It's not a major issue. Either way, 1st and 10, 39-yard line. I formation. Alexander over the 40 to about the 42. Driver on the stop. It'll be 2nd and 6.
3 minutes left in this ball game. Tied at 21. Nebraska has all 3 timeouts and perhaps the best offensive line in America. But they're going to have to get a couple of big plays. They can't just grind it out. They're going to need to get Eric Crouch on the perimeter at least once or twice.
Inside 2:40 now. On 2nd and 6. Alexander again plunging ahead. The Huskers ideally would like to use up that clock and rumble downfield for the chance to hit the field goal or the touchdown for the win.
Well, their kicker, Josh Brown, his long is 42 yards, so they've got a considerable amount of yardage to pick up to give him a chance. Now, biggest play of the game coming up right now with 2:10 left in the ball game, game tied.
If we're tied at the end of regulation, we'll go to the overtime, of course. 2 minutes to go. 3rd and 2. Alexander into the backfield again.
Denman. Anthony Denman again.
Denman again at the first stop, and now what do? You have to punt, don't you?
I would punt here.
You have to punt.
Absolutely.
4th and 2, and it's a long 2.
But I tell you, Anthony Denman, he has been spectacular this second half. Short yardage, long yardage, inside plays, blitzing in the passing game. As good as Julius Jones here, you may want to. I'm surprised that Joey Getherall is not back now. He's the guy that returned it, 83 yards for the touchdown.
Julius went 100 on the kickoff.
Yeah.
Jones at the 16-yard line. Trying to find some room. Somehow does find some room. And he gets up to the 30-yard line before Gross again brought him down. Irish will take over at the 30-yard line. A 15-yard return, 38-yard punt.
The Anthony Denman, number 39, going to come from the inside here. There he is, right there. And again, just kind of knifing in. That was he had some big plays this game, particularly the second half, but none bigger than that one. Forcing the punt and giving the Irish the ball with a little bit over a minute to go in the game. And 2 timeouts. Now, for Bob Davie, it's tough because his kicker, although he was 1 for 1 last week, he has not been tested much.
They're going to have to move fairly quickly, but they do have 2 timeouts. Battle across the 30, falls down at about the 34-yard line as he nearly ran into big Kurt Vollers. And the clock is ticking at 52 seconds and moving. And they're really too far back to think timeout because they're on their own side of the field here.
I still think he should be getting in and out of huddle. They have reasonably good field position. I mean, I'm surprised they're going to let this one run out.
Are they playing for overtime, huh?
Yeah, that's the way they look at it now.
I'm not playing an overtime game, but since 96.
Yeah, you saw the quarterback draw. You could have thrown screens. There's some safe stuff you can do in these circumstances.
Battle's going to keep. That's fairly safe. Trying to shake and bake. Gets to the 37. Jason Lohr on the stop. Crowd getting a little frustrating watching the seconds go away. The Irish may feel their best bet is to take the #1 team to overtime.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. You have some receivers here in Notre Dame's case, but guys like Joey Gethro, you saw him on the punt return. I don't think you need to throw the ball over the middle. But you can throw them maybe a quick screen, one of those bubble screens, and give them a chance to do something after the catch, but they're going to overtime.
Did not want to risk turning the ball over. He's going to take his chances in OT. Last game for Notre Dame in overtime was November 30th of '96 at USC. They lost 27-20. Last season, Nebraska won late in the year the Big 12 game at Colorado, 33-30. And here are the overtime rules, Pat. Coin toss for the right to play.
Yeah, you
Each
always
team
play
will
defense,
get a shot.
Right. If you win the toss, you choose to play defense, of course, so you know what your offense has to do.
25-yard line, you get a series each. If one of you scores, the other doesn't, game over. Each team will retain the ball by getting a first down or scoring. Repeat it until the winner is determined. You do get a timeout. New rule last year, beginning with the third series that you have, if you score the TD, you have to go for the 2 points. Pat, this game has been such a terrific game. It has kind of a spoiling way to finish it in the overtime, but this is how they do it in these days in college football.
Because I think from here on in, it comes down so much to the kickers.
Yeah. And from the 25, but Nebraska is #1 to hold on to the ranking, and they're undefeated early part of the season. They're going to have to knock off Notre Dame. We are going to overtime in South Bend. Craig Minervini with Pat Hayden. We are in overtime here at Notre Dame. 21-21. 2 special teams touchdowns. Nebraska, the Irish, the comeback. Nebraska won the toss, and I believe they chose to defend first.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to do. You want to find out what you have to do on your offensive series. If the Fighting Irish kick a field goal, then you know at least if the touchdown wins it.
It also puts the pressure on the younger Notre Dame offense to put something on the board. And keep in mind, 14 of the 21 points came from special teams.
Yeah, and I think, the biggest thing going into this overtime is 2 kickers that, haven't been into this situation a lot. Nebraska's kicker didn't kick last week. Notre Dame's kicker, Nick Seta, just kicked 1 field goal last week. So
something you don't see a lot in college football, particularly in a game of this magnitude. The #1 team in the country, the number 23 Irish, are all a tradition between the 2 schools. The Irish were a heavy underdog coming into this game at home, and it's turned out to be a beauty.
And Bob Davie would love a home run from Julius Jones right now.
1st and 10, 25. Jones for about 2, maybe 3. Pushed back on the play by Carlos Polk, the linebacker who stepped up.
Carlos Polk has great vision. Remember Craig Bohl, the defensive coordinator, was saying about Carlos Polk this week. He's a little bit like a running back. He has that vision, sees the hole, and he gets the hole just like a running back would. Oftentimes the running back's on the other side of that hole.
You're almost already in long field goal range, even if you don't move it any further. It's about a 40-yarder right now. They're obviously looking for the 6, and they can get the first down as well. 2nd and 9. Give him just one battle.
Oh, it's holding. Tight end got held big time. O'Leary.
Now Battle moving. Battle's got some room. Left side gets a block. Battle to the 20. There is a flag down inside the 10. Knocked down at the 8-yard line.
It's a flag on Nebraska. Dan O'Leary, the tight end, was held badly.
Well, if that's the case, they'll decline it.
Yep.
Take the run from the quarterback Battle. But let's see. You got it.
Dan O'Leary, the tight end, was just trying to sneak out. He's right in here. Watch what happens. And this is kind of a pretty easy call. Yeah.
Holding.
Jersey on him.
Defense.
Now, good reactions here by Arnaz Battle. Wow. One thing in a long season, I would think, Craig, you want Arnaz at this point to get out of bounds. Don't separate your shoulder. Get out of bounds. You're too valuable to this team.
I agree with you, Pat, but I don't think they were thinking of
No, he wasn't. Great impromptu play by Arnaz Battle, a guy that can do that.
Hey, he was almost saying hello to Frank Solich on the other side of the side. Came all the way back, got a couple of great blocks, and didn't let up when he saw the flag come down either, which is right in front of him. 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. Don't forget, Nebraska will get a shot even if the Irish score. Gibbons was in motion. Jones got a little room, right tackle side, got to the 5. Kaiser brought him down, 2nd and goal for the 5.
There was a touchdown there, saved by Lauren Kaiser, the tackle, number 91. There was a crease there that Julius Jones saw when he got that ball, and I saw it from up here. I thought he was going to burst into it. But it was Kaiser right down here, slides down and closes the hole. Watch the hole. See the hole there? Oh, boy, that's a touchdown if Kaiser doesn't make the play.
2nd and goal from the 5. Lipinski is the fullback. Jones the tailback in the I formation. Receivers split left and right. Jones gets it up the middle, and he's met quickly by Carlos Polk. He might have gotten a yard, but a good play by 13, the linebacker from Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, Kaiser again low that time, Polk up high.
It'll be 3rd and goal. It's a long 3.
Boy, again, I think a play with Arnaz Battle having a couple of options. Run, pass. They get one timeout in the overtime period. A good use of a timeout there by Arnaz Battle.
So Arnaz will come to the sidelines as Nick Seta right there, the field goal kicker, a sophomore, may have the opportunity to put Notre Dame ahead. And Battle's going to talk it over.
Well, he's not thinking field goal right now, I promise you.
No.
I mean, they're figuring, hey, how can I get 3 yards? And to me, Arnaz Battle is such a dangerous guy. A little bit like Crouch on the perimeter. Get him, you just say no timeouts remaining. Get him outside. Give him a chance, a run pass kind of option. Maybe Craig, where you can run it and throw it in.
Now, he hasn't been great on the touch on the pass part today.
No.
However, it does give you that option if somebody comes up. That might be the play that they will go with. He's only 3 for 15 passing in the entire game. We talk so much, Pat, about the mystique here at Notre Dame, especially against the #1 teams. And look at their overall record against the #1s at home, 3-3. But they come off 2 incredibly impressive wins over Miami in '88. And they made the gutsy 2-point conversion try, didn't work out. And Florida State. And Bobby Newcomb is feeling the pressure of early season pressure of #1 right now. Nebraska got everything you could have expected. Everything the coach said about this game and more. They hope, the coaches, that the players bought into it. Gibbons in motion, 3rd and goal. Battle in some trouble. He's caught back at the 11-yard line by Jerry Selecta, and that'll push the field goal back to about a 28, 29-yard try.
Great play by Selecta, number 56, but Notre Dame was doing just what we thought, trying to get him on the perimeter with a run-pass option. Selecta got real good closing speed for a tackle. I mean, you don't talk about that much with a defensive tackle. And now the field goal attempt by Nick Seta.
So Nick Seta, a sophomore who has 1 kick in his career, a 32-yarder good last week. Had a great preseason to earn the #1 job.
Remember how good Nebraska is at kicking, particularly these guys right there.
29-yarder left hash. Seta up and good. So Nick Seta, with a lot of pressure for a young kicker, hits the big one for Notre Dame. Now the focus goes to the Irish D and the Cornhusker offense. Nebraska knows they'll get it to 25. If they can score a touchdown, the game is theirs.
Absolutely. You have to be thinking, your play selection has to be thinking certainly about touchdown. Nebraska has guys in the back that they call in the second row called jumpers. The guy up front are called grubbers, but you see the guys in the back, Vanderbush, number 83 in particular, blocked 3 kicks last year. But good height by Seta, and they're up by 3. I'll tell you, Seta is an incredible athlete, Craig. 6'10" height jumper in high school.
24-21. Nebraska takes over now at the 25, and they get one series here. Touchdown, they win. Field goal will force another series for each team. Crouch. He's on the keeper. Pitching to Alexander. And the Huskers have seen that tune all day long. Shane Walton came up to bang out Alexander.
And once again, the defense forces the pitch. They said, hey, Eric Crouch is the best runner on this Nebraska team. What we need to do is force the pitch. Rocky Boyman, number 30, did that. And then Shane Walt comes up and stuffs the tackle. So Nebraska has to call, I think, a quarterback designated run. Really giving Crouch the chance to run. No option play.
No gain. Maybe a yard now. 2nd and 9, 24-yard line. Crouch is going to pass. Screenplay, throwing, and it's incomplete. He was going for Wilson Thomas, a guy that the Notre Dame Irish probably wouldn't figure to be in the play. Shane Walton on the coverage.
Craig, I'm really surprised with that call. This is not Nebraska's strong suit. Remember, they're only down by 3. You don't need a touchdown now, necessarily, right? Wow. 3 points keeps you in the game. So, at a minimum, make sure you give your field goal kicker a little better shot. That's a surprising call to me to force a 3rd and 9 now. They'll use their timeout, will Nebraska?
They threw it at a sophomore who never had a catch in his college career. And they tried to fool Notre Dame because Thomas has not even caught the ball. And now you're right. They're looking at a 42-yard field goal. They don't pick up any distance. And they've got a kicker. Last year went 1 for 4 between the 40 and 49-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not the play. I would take Crouch on the option or quarterback keep on the perimeter, or at a minimum run something inside to pick up 4 or 5 maybe to give your field goal kicker a little bit more of an opportunity to have a chip shot. So now this becomes, really critical play. 2 things going through the quarterbacks and the coach's mind. Hey, if minimum we have to pick up 4 or 5 yards to make it a little bit more reasonable, field goal attempt. And then, don't turn the ball over. If you're going to throw the ball, don't force the ball. He's thrown 3 interceptions this year.
3. They still have the option at 3rd and 9.
Right, absolutely. Quarterback draws, and anything with Crouch in his hand, and ball in his hand.
Seen a lot of the rolls one way, throw back across the field the other way. Crouch 6 for 14 with the INT passing.
They're going to have 3 wide outs in this formation.
Crouch will line up under center. Swings to the right, receiver is Thomas to the left. Single setback, Alexander, Crouch back to pass, straight drop back, over the middle, complete. Wistrom has got it.
Oh, boy.
And I believe he has the first down.
I think he does, too. Great throw, patient throw by Eric Crouch. Wow. Yeah, that gets him the first down. Boy, Wistrom did a great job of running the route, bouncing off a linebacker. I mean, he was covered, kind of bounced off a linebacker. He's number 87, the right part of your screen. It's a big passing lane there. The quarterback throws it away from the defender, the on-rushing Denman. A good throw and a good route by Wistrom.
1st and 10 at the 15-yard line in overtime. Notre Dame scored a field goal, their chance. Handoff, Alexander breaking free of Denman. And he picked up 8 yards. Boyman helped to make the stop with Driver. But this is where Nebraska wants to be then, now 2nd and short.
Yeah, this is where their offensive line, it really is so good. Finoti, number 77, kind of dominating his guy. Big hole there. Dave Volk, Raiola, the center, did a good job of cutting his guy. Again, touchdown wins the game for Nebraska.
Notre Dame does not get a second shot if Nebraska gets the touchdown. Crouch, he has it, going for the end zone.
I haven't seen a signal. Have you?
I didn't see a signal, but the referees are running off. It is a touchdown, and Nebraska has won the game.
Eric Crouch 16 touchdowns a year ago on option plays. Boy, did he get a good block by Dan Alexander, too.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers in overtime. And fittingly on the shoulders of their leader, Eric Crouch, with his third rushing touchdown of the game for the second straight week. And this one is a crusher to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in a sensational finish here in Notre Dame.
Watch the block by number 38, too. And not only the strong run by Crouch, but the last block there by Dan Alexander allowed Crouch to get in the end zone, who's as dynamic a runner inside the 10 as you see in college football. The last push.
Yeah, Williams was knocked down. Walton, actually it was Driver, tried to catch him and couldn't do it. And what a great run by Eric Crouch. Let's go down to Bob Wischusen.
All right, Coach, congratulations. That had to be as exciting a game as you've ever been a part of.
Well, it was a great football game. I thought both teams played exceptionally hard for 4 quarters. No one gave up. It was really a close one down to the end, of course. It did not look very good when they kicked that field goal, and we had that third and medium, and we were able to pick that up. It was a key play to keep that drive along. We have so far last year had one game like this, and we were able to pull it out in overtime. I pay great tribute to Notre Dame, their coaches, their football team. They did a great job. I'm very proud of our kids to be able to come back. I thought that Notre Dame did a great job on special teams, and we let the 2 long returns, and that really killed us, give them a lot of momentum, and it was tough to battle back, but our kids did it.
What does this now mean for your team, winning a game this early in the season in this type of atmosphere? You're number 1. We know that this is a good football team, but what does it do for you for the rest of the season?
They're a very proud football team. They felt they could come in here and get it done. We knew it would not be easy. We feel Notre Dame's an excellent team against A&M. They played very strong in all phases of the game. So in order to come in here and get it done on their field is big time, and I think our kids deserve a lot of credit for it. I also feel Notre Dame deserves a lot of credit for the way they played today.
Coach, congratulations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Let's head back upstairs, Craig.
Thank you, Bob. Today's Chevrolet players of the game, Eric Crouch, surprise, surprise, from Nebraska. Julius Jones from Notre Dame. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. The Chevrolet Scholarship Program has been a tradition for 30 years. Once again, the final score from Notre Dame Stadium. It's the Nebraska Cornhuskers 27, the Irish 24 in overtime. Coming up tonight on NBC. Don't miss the Brady Bunch movie at 8/7 Central. And then after that, stick around for the Hispanic Heritage Awards, an NBC special. For Pat Hayden, with Bob Wischusen and the entire crew, Craig Minervini saying so long from South Bend, Indiana.